Yo, people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another all-you-can-eat Chelsea episode. Big up your damn selves in the building. Make sure you smash up the likes. I really shouldn't have to tell you today because of today of all days. Just smash up the likes regardless because of the performance. Well, the result, not the performance. Big up everybody in the building, man. Absolutely exhausted today. I mean, I was just saying to the boys, watch along, review, big six, all in a row, no gaps, no pause, no breaks. And now tomorrow, the day after, we can finally probably with slightly calmer heads assess whatever the hell happened there. I don't even know, to be honest. Miz, how are you feeling, bro? How are you doing this morning, bro? Or this evening in Australia for yourself?
Yeah, man, it is evening. It's 9:11. That's not really the nicest time, is it? 9:11. Yeah, man, exhausted. Yeah, of course, satisfied with the win. But I'm sure we're going to delve into what really went on. But yeah, man, it was good to just get a victory against Man United. It's been a while, and we always come to this fixture thinking they're beatable. They're not anything great. We've seen how they've been rubbish all throughout. But for some reason, we come up against them and we buckle. So it was really good to just get one on them. Finally, it almost looked like we were going to lose as well again. But I think the final. I think it was 82 seconds. Two goals in 82 seconds.
Yeah.
The best 82 seconds that you can have
of the season.
This season. So yeah, no, man, I'm happy to a certain level. Yeah.
Younes, bro, how are you feeling this morning, bro? How are you? Because what was that, man? Like, to start, just talk me through your emotions. Because I was saying to Miz when you was away backstage, the third goal, it wasn't limbs for me, because the third goal was like, we threw it away, so it's a consolation to get back into the game, but we should never have thrown it away. So I was saying as well, like, we need to win games. Like, a point is of no use. When you've dropped as many points as we have, it's of no use to anyone. So we need to win every game. So how did you feel when that fourth goal went in, that deflection? Like, what was going on in your
bro? Pure shock. No, I was in shock. I couldn't even limbs. Like, there were no limbs. I was just in shock. My jaw dropped. Like, the third goal, I agree. It didn't move me at all. I even said it on the watch along. I was like, this goal's done absolutely nothing for me. Right. Because it was just, and even the circumstance, we have to acknowledge, the penalty was very unfortunate for Man United, for Dado, because he fell over. Like, you could tell he tripped. So I'm like, yo, it is a penalty. Don't get me wrong. It's not.
Someone in the chat said the highs and the dalos, bro. You know what I'm saying? Hold that. Hold. I'm not here to feel. Younes, don't feel sorry for them. Don't feel sorry for them. The amount of times the amount of times at the end of games, bro, they managed to steal points, bro. Steal points at the last moment when they played like crap, robbing teams left, right, and center, bro. I don't feel sorry for them. Bun them, bro. Hold that.
No, absolutely. And I'm not saying like it's not even a penalty. It is a penalty. It's just it was the luckiest way to possibly get a penalty at that moment for us. So we have to count ourselves fortunate. So when we scored that third goal, I'm like, okay, it's a draw then. It's a point, better than a loss. But the fourth goal, bro, I didn't expect. I thought that's it. I thought after the penalty, I was like, yo, the game's done. And then I see us get a chance, and the Chukwuemeka thing goes like, the shot goes. I thought that was going in. I'm like, oh my god.
Me too.
and then the corner, taken quick. Palmer turns. It just happened in a blink, bro. All the ball hits the net, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's 4-3, and my jaws hit the floor, and I've screamed it, but I'm for that moment throughout the end of the watch along, the review, after the review, in bed, I'm like, I'm in shock.
Hello. What's up?
Welcome, brother. Oh, you're in shock.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Everyone
Wow.
is. We
Wow.
don't do late goals, right?
No.
No.
This
Yeah.
this
Not-
winner
not
by
in-
Palmer
not in
is
the- not in the
the
league. Not in the
latest
league.
winner in the history of Premier League. Like
I was about to say it's the
Hmm.
latest winner in the in Premier League history. Yeah.
What was it? The 100th minute?
110th.
143.
110th, right?
Oh,
Sorry,
100 sorry.
90 plus
No,
10.
Yeah.
90, yeah,
So it's
90,
100.
90 plus 9,
143.
90 plus
100.
10.
143 was the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, listen, that win. I mean, you were saying it backstage, Younes, as well. That win, what it could have done for the players and the manager, they needed that. So, like, Poch was celebrating like we won something. Like, but you know what? All the power to him, because
Yeah.
he needed that, and the players needed that. And sometimes the amount of times we shoot ourselves in the foot when we play games, and we actually are playing pretty well, and we just shoot ourselves in the foot with individual errors out of nowhere. Certain individuals in particular in that team deserve that. Like Cole Palmer, this season, I don't even need to go through his statistics. He is our player of the year, and it's not even a conversation. It's not even close. No. He is our player of the year. I'd like Gusto to get young player of the year, so he leaves with something. But Palmer could take both, and it wouldn't even really be like, I'm sorry, you just have to hold that. Do you know what I mean? If he ends up taking both, you're gonna have to hold that, because this, and people have been in recent days, I've seen this conversation of like he's taking too many, like his decision making, or he's taking too many shots. Now, for me, shot volume is needed in this team, because sometimes we overplay it. Sometimes we were having issues where no one wanted to take responsibility. No one wanted to take shots. And if you've got a kid who's taking pressurized penalties against Arsenal, against I think Man City, against now Man United, who is scoring goals and assisting and creating chances in open play as well, not just you know the stats, but also on the eye test. I want him to take responsibility. He's not going to get it right every time. The top players who score a lot of goals, sometimes they do come across selfish because they're confident, because when they see an opportunity, they want to take it. That's what I want. I want better decision making, don't get me wrong, but I want people to rise. And I think the problem has been is that sometimes when you look at the game, you treat it like PlayStation, because you can see a bird's eye view thing. Every single thing must be perfect. I'm not expecting perfection. But obviously, when Sterling's doing 3v1s, that's when it's unacceptable. That's ridiculous. But in general play, you can walk it in. How many times could Lampard have probably walked it in if he had just played that extra pass? But how many times did he just say fuck it and crash it from an extra 20 yards? He just crashed it. We're not used to having long range shooters. We're not used to having people that take responsibility. We're used to overplaying cutbacks, and then something is intercepted. We have to start all over again. Sometimes you got to crash it in from 20 yards. Sometimes you got to take a shot and it gets deflected and it goes in. That's how it goes. That's how it has to be. Sometimes you can't just try and walk it in all the time, because then people take too many touches, the angles close up, and then things go, they disappear. So for me, I'm buzzing, man. Cole Palmer this season has just been, I mean, Miz, where would we be without him? Because we signed him on deadline day, and I don't even think he was even top of, like, we were going to go for Elise, who's been injured a lot this season.
Yeah, we'd be relegated. We'd be in closer to relegation zone. There's no doubt about that. I mean, the audacity. Do you know what? Prior to the match, we saw all of those quotes from Pochettino saying that, you know, when the team is out of ideas, they tend to go to Cole Palmer. And I just found that whole thing so funny. That how are you saying this as a manager? That
bro, I genuinely thought that was an April Fool's prank. I replied also on your that. Like I could not believe that. It was said by him.
That he said this, and it made me think, wow, like the team really doesn't have any tactics. But I think yesterday was so clear the amount of time our players was trying to find Cole Palmer. And it kind of makes sense now. Like, he is the most courageous. The way he spun Dalot in that first half as well, the trickery that he did, and he ran past him. I was like, whoa, that's brilliant. That's a brilliant move. And the thing about Cole Palmer is he's got this different sort of feel about him than other players. He can sense weakness. He can sense a bit of blood from the opposition, and he really hones in on that. instinct, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. We need more players of his caliber that is more instinctive and doesn't overcook things. I love him, man, and the level of these penalties as well. Like it never looks like he's gonna miss. The complete.
Please, miss, don't say that, please.
I mean, I know. Look, I don't know. I mean, touch wood, but
playing Sheffield next.
I can't believe
Sheffield next, please.
I can't believe this is the person that we were debating who should be our penalty taker. We're not sure. Depends on how people feel. Wow. This guy, every time he steps up to take a penalty, he's giving Lampard, Jorginho, Hazard vibes. Like no doubt.
Exactly.
The
composure is crazy.
And that left foot is sensational, man. That left foot is brilliant. I'm so happy. I'm so happy, and I really liked his attitude post last game against Burnley. How he came out firing is like, this is not acceptable. And did you notice he scored the equalizer, the penalty?
Yeah.
No wild celebration, no nothing.
Yes.
You know, any other player in our team.
Jackson. Imagine if it was Jackson.
Jackson, Sterling, anyone else, you name it. If they scored that equalizer, they're doing the knee slide. It just shows Cole Palmer's mentality that how are we even scoring an equalizer in the 90th minute when we were 2-0 up against this lot?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So this is a player, I said it post-match in my review, that Cole Palmer, you know how a lot of players come to Chelsea Football Club and they become bad? Cole Palmer is genuinely a particular player. He's of such a high quality, high caliber. He will never become bad wherever he goes. He will never, ever become bad. He will actually stay quality. My issue is he ain't going to hang about at Chelsea Football Club if we don't get better.
Yeah,
he's not going to accept. You can tell the frustrations are in his eyes now. You can tell it in his that I am so good. He's scored 16 goals, how many assists, and we're 10th. There'll come a point where he'll be like, I need to be taking Jude Bellingham is scoring goals and they're in the Champions League, they're in La Liga, top of the Liga. He will soon demand that I need this team, what I'm contributing, to be further up in the table, a lot further. So I just hope Chelsea start changing soon.
I have to acknowledge as well, he's the second highest top goal scorer now.
Too shy.
And I know some people will say penalties.
I don't know if he takes penalties.
I would normally take that into some sort of consideration. If it's just either all been penalties, but it's for Cole Palmer, it's not. And there's one additional thing. He's not missed a penalty yet. So that's where it's like you have to count them because it's actually quite impressive to not miss that many penalties. And you know what I mean? If you've scored some penalties and you've missed some and whatnot, and that's all you've scored and that's where you are, then okay, yeah, you've basically done all that. But try and bring someone else of that level. We're just bringing up names like Lampard and Jorginho and all these guys that were really, really good with pens. He's that, and complementing it with that last minute winner that he got us last night. Listen, that's the level Cole Palmer's setting. So teams will be sniffing around for him. If we don't up our game, teams will be sniffing around for him and they will pay top dollar for him and they will get him. So we have to definitely, I agree, really, really improve the levels around here because he's the one that's setting them and he's the only one right now.
And sometimes I feel he also thinks of himself like I am the best player and I need to take that responsibility. And sometimes I feel that's the reason why he does not passes. Like there was an instance last night.
There was.
Yeah, he could have squared it to Mudrik, who was in a very good position, but he decided to go for it himself. So sometimes I don't like to see that also, but it is the synergy and the trust that we talk about. Like, for example, there have been players who have been selfish. Like Salah is selfish, Robin was selfish, but they back themselves and they have got the quality. 9 times out of 10, they will do the job. But it is, I think, more of a case of not trusting the players who are around him at the moment.
100,
and so that's why he goes for it all the time. So I hope that changes.
Do you know what, Baba? That's such a good point. Because I saw that clip as well. I remember watching. I'm like, oh man, Palmer, you could have squared that. I think you're right. He doesn't square because the trust is not there. And I think the way he's thinking is, if I square and Mudryk misses, the entire the morale of the team goes down because that's an opportunity miss. He's more thinking, I'm on form. Let me go for it. If I miss, I'm strong enough to continue on. And he was strong enough to continue on to score a hat-trick. He knows that miss ain't going to bother me. I'm just going to keep going on. But if Mudryk missed, he knows that's going to bring the team down.
But
so
the problem is that it rubs off on the other players as well. Like if you remember, Gusto against Burnley had a really good chance to again cut it back, but he went for goal himself. And Gallagher, the moment maybe we concede a goal, Gallagher, whenever he gets an opportunity, he'll shoot. No matter what.
Maybe that's what Sterling's been thinking the whole time on these 3v1s. If I miss, I'll keep going. But
there were so many times where Palmer was the one that he needed to square to. So he should be more confident that it's Cole Palmer. Like, I don't understand if there's someone else, but when there's Cole Palmer there, bro, you square the ball for Cole Palmer.
I think no one envisioned when he signed immediately, because it was on deadline day. And like I said, it wasn't even our first choice. We were going after Elise, and that deal collapsed. And they tried to take us to court. And then we had to go back on it and go and find someone else. First of all, Elise would never have clocked up this many minutes because he would have been injured. Because our medical team, I know obviously Roy Hodgson, but let's not act like we're good at managing injuries. So he would have been missing so many games. I actually fear for where we'd be in the league table. Obviously, for penalties, I think Elise would have put them in as well. Like, Elise is a great penalty taker. He's very calm. He's very composed, all of that. But without those minutes played, and probably without that level of output in terms of goals, because I don't think Elise is like prolific like that, or he's a good ball striker, but not prolific. I don't know where we would be because Madueke would have a lot more minutes on that right-hand side. And he actually come on and made a difference as well, but he's not as good as Palmer. So we just have to thank our lucky stars that we ended up getting this guy. We were going for Kudus as well. Kudus has been good for West Ham. But I wouldn't swap this guy for anyone, man. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't even move him. People have said about, maybe move him in the 10 because they've been frustrated with Gallagher's performance yesterday. And then maybe Madueke. I am not touching that right-hand side. I don't care I don't care. That right-hand side is the only thing keeping me alive. I don't care what's going on anywhere else on the pitch. That right side with Gusto and Palmer is untouchable right now. Yeah. Untouchable. You don't touch it. You just leave it and you cherish it and you're happy with it. Because they're consistently putting up good performances. I wouldn't go near it. Honestly, I wouldn't go near it.
People just need to realize when you talk about, let's switch Palmer from the right to the middle. And I've harped on about this many times. Don't look at the pitch the way you look at the lineups. It's 4-2-3-1 and he's on the right. The amount of times Palmer drifts from the right, he glides from the right into inside positions. He opens his body up to pass it with his open body. He is pretty much the number 10. He may start from the right side. This is why even though Gallagher in the formation, when they show it on the TV, he's the 10. Gallagher ain't the 10. Gallagher doesn't play as Kaká or Ronaldinho.
He's not a playmaker.
He's not a playmaker. So he may look like he's in that position, but he ain't doing that role. We need to understand that.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to get into negatives so early because I'm just enjoying the adrenaline. I'm enjoying the dopamine.
I think we have to.
Before you do, can we focus on one small positive?
Go on.
Like a continuation of the Cole Palmer
super
thing.
chats next. Milk this shit.
I think there has to be credit given
to,
as far as I'm concerned, the one guy who's actually behind the scenes that's competent.
Joe Shields.
And that's Joe Shields.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're right, Younes. You're right.
Look, with the way that is going right now, and I'm so curious to see what Lavia will do, right, because of this. But what's going on, because of what we've explained, I would honestly, in 5 minutes, happily give Joe Shields the entire flipping. I'd make him director right now.
Yeah.
I really would.
I was thinking that as well.
Because he's pulling these moves, and Palmer is one of them that you just, like we've said, if it wasn't for Palmer, we would honestly be a lot worse off than we were last season, near that relegation zone, 100%, because his goals and contributions and what he's brought would not be there. And we don't have anything else going for us. So, big up to Joe Shields. Because as much as we critique Winstanley, the board, the owners, Stuart and all of that, Stuart is the one that I can't criticize.
Shields. Stuart's in big trouble.
Oh, that's it, Stuart. Sorry.
Stuart,
you're in big trouble. Joe Shields is the one guy that has been flawless so far. So big up to Joe Shields.
And do you know what, Younes? Where's Joe Shields from?
Manchester City.
Of course, this is it.
So we have to realize
when you bring quality, you get quality.
Quality brings quality. Quality brings quality. It's simple as.
Yeah.
Ethan says Enzo and Caicedo, the win doesn't cover up your stinkers. We're going to talk. There's many.
I got a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about. I said in the title.
I don't accept that.
There's centre back and centre mid partnerships pairings that need to be discussed today. So we're going to discuss them for sure. No skating around that. Big up for the super chat there, brother. Much appreciated. Fortune favors the brave, Younes. Credit where it's due. These players don't actually give up. They're just immature. This isn't last year's squad. It's HBK. What else have we got? Palmer has shown that he can be rattled. Let's see. What do you mean rattled? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah, when did he get rattled?
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by rattled? I don't think it was rattled. If anything, I think Palmer probably is the most mature individual in our football club, and he's 21.
Yeah.
You don't hear controversies. You don't hear about him calling, pornsters on the phone, and you're like, this guy, for a 21-year-old, has got his head screwed on nicely.
Good result, but Poch wasn't the reason we won, says Velen.
Cole Palmer was the reason we won.
Yeah,
of course.
This guy came out of nowhere.
Simple as that.
This guy,
there's no
divine intervention is the reason we won.
82 seconds, isn't it? Like, that's what he did. It took 5 years. Oh, gee, I don't even know if I'm
doing this.
Please,
I don't even think I even want to read
Why
the rest of this.
People want to like?
Why do you man have to do this? Why? Why?
With them.
You did this with Pulisic. And now you're going to do it with Palmer. Why is it every little sign?
Sonodai was also there for a bit.
Anytime some attacker shows any glimpse of hope, any glimpse of stardom, you have to compare them to Hazard. Why? It's the same thing Grizz did yesterday, comparing McAllister to Gerrard. Just leave it.
Way.
Just leave it.
Wasn't it Szoboszlai for him? Wasn't it Szoboszlai?
I don't care. If he compared someone to Gerrard, that's a criminal offense. He should know that.
And
that.
do you know what?
Of course it is, but I thought Szoboszlai was his Steven Gerrard.
Do you know what though? Do you know what? Palmer is nothing like Hazard, and this team shouldn't become reliant on Palmer in the next couple of years. We should be helping Palmer by facilitating him with more quality. 100%. Because one thing that really frustrated me when Hazard was here is that we didn't give him someone as dangerous on the opposite flank with a left foot, like an Iron Robin, like we used to have, like a Gareth Bale who gone to Real Madrid. That would have sent us into the stratosphere. That's how we would have won a Champions League with Hazard. Now, in terms of Palmer, a better comparison, if you even want to play that game, in my opinion, is more Juan Mata. That's the type of player that I kind of look at and think, okay, maybe he's similar to that. But like I said, let's be careful, bro.
It's his breakout season, so let's enjoy it. Do you know what I mean?
No, 100%. With Hazard, for example, I agree with the fact that we didn't really complement the other flank, but we still brought in quality around him. Like in those first years when he came in, like we brought in Fabregas and we brought in Costa and we brought in these guys that are like he can share the load with. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Palmer right now, for being real, Palmer's on his own. So we need to. This is why the recruitment is so key. We always go back to that, but yeah. Palmer down the line definitely needs backup, 100%.
People saying we had Willian. Willian wasn't one of the best wingers in the world, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. He was all right.
I'm talking about.
He did a good job.
I'm talking about having one of the best wingers on the opposite flank, so there is no need to double team Hazard. because now you can't double team him because you got to think about the other flank. That's how good I want the opposite winger to potentially be. But yeah, he says his bottle and mentality is well beyond his years. City's recruitment took a rare loss. Facts. I mean, listen, City. No, I don't care where they are in the league. They're not gonna. There's no way they can't regret letting him go, especially when you look at who's come in. Younes, Doku. You know, I think he's outscored Doku, Grealish, and Alvarez combined. You know, obviously, you know.
The point is, you don't regret the players that have left you till the time you stop winning. We let KDB go. The very same season we won the league. The next season, the 14-15 season, we won the league with Mourinho. The time we stopped winning the league, like KDB came to Man City in 2016, we won the league with Conte that season. We were like, okay, we are good enough to win stuff without the players that we have let go. The moment you stop winning stuff, you start regretting the players. So if City stop winning shit, they will regret Cole Palmer. Otherwise, they won't. It won't matter to them, to be honest.
Yeah,
fully agree.
In all honesty, I know we like to say this because it obviously makes us feel good as well, that one up on City, knowing that they've got KDB, once upon a time our player. But my honest opinion is, I don't know whether you can fit Foden and Palmer in the one team. Like, I think they would clash. They're so left-footed and they like to drift from that right side in the central areas. Foden has just been phenomenal this season. Like, are they really regretting it? Foden's just been killing it. Do you know what I mean? So as Baba said, if City continue to win, there will be no regret. Do you know what I mean? If they stop winning, they may look back and go, should we have let that kind of player go? Of course, they would have liked to have a player like Cole Palmer in the bench, someone who they can, rely on and come and do a really, really good job. But look, I think ultimately City are just, I don't think they regret too much.
For example, I've never heard a Real Madrid fan say, "Oh, we regret letting go of Hakimi," because we sometimes need a right back when Carvajal is not playing. Because they keep winning stuff. So
they keep winning.
So I don't think so. That's the case.
Yeah. We like to think that because it makes us feel good. Like, hey, we got one of yours. So
I do think that they could have fit both of them in. It would have been a tight squeeze. I agree. It would have been maybe a clash. Maybe they could have interchanged, but it would have been interesting to see how that would work. I think when you look at how, I look at the fact that they struggle to service Haaland sometimes, and I think Palmer would have serviced Haaland for fun. I really do. The way that guy can pick out a pass, clip it into the box, those deliveries. I just don't think their recruitment in midfield was good enough to not regret it in some way. But we'll see. If they win the treble again, then they won't care, like Baba said. Rajesh says, did you guys see Enzo versus Mount post-match? I love Enzo even more after it.
We must talk about this. We must. We have to.
Palmer joint second on goals in the league, joint third for assists. We have to get better for Palmer to stay. He has an elite mentality and won't stay around mediocrity.
Agree.
That's facts.
Yeah. I mean, we will speak on that Enzo versus Mount situation for sure. Probably after these super chats. Robert says, remember when Matt Law wrote an article criticizing our recruitment for buying Palmer over Maddison because he was under 25? Turns out it's because he was just better, says Robert.
Matt also embarrassed himself last night with the...
He's an idiot. He just confirmed that he's an idiot.
Has to stop now. He's not our player anymore. Come on, man. Mount.
He's been paid. He's been paid.
Something wrong with that guy. Matisse really enjoyed the game, your game last night, and I have a question for the panel. Do you guys think if Poch gets good results in remaining fixtures, do you think he needs one more chance next season?
We're not doing that. We are not doing
Liverpool fan. I don't think we should play with these hypotheticals because we've been inconsistent all season. We haven't been above 8th at any point in the season, and we can't stop getting injuries. And we just drew to Burnley 2-2 at home in the previous match. So I think it's better to just take this game in isolation, enjoy this game. But I'm not gonna start talking about what happens if we do good in our remaining fixtures because, in my opinion, that's very unlikely, and that's just keeping it a buck. because you have to remember we won this game in 82 seconds. We didn't batter them and play some sort of incredible game with no faults. And no, we literally won this game in 82 seconds. We almost lost this game. And then people will be saying maybe we'll be having a completely different conversation right now.
He would have been finished.
So
if we lost, it would have been over. The whole thing would have been finished.
There's no way we can get to talking about that at all right now. In terms of that.
The game is about results. Of course, the game is about winning. But if you look at some of the wins we've had this season, they're not satisfying. We're not controlling games. That match against Man United, it was such a classic basketball game, one end to another. We go once, okay, now your turn to come at us. To say that, can you contemplate Poch to be here next season if he gets results? Not only he needs to get results, but the game has got to be better. We need to be able to shut up shop on oppositions. We need to suffocate them. We need to dominate them. Not have this punch for punch, let's see who, last man standing kind of matches. No, that's not sustainable.
And let's be honest, miss, if it hadn't been for that deflection, the mood would have been absolutely sad right now. Like a draw would have, would not be enough. In my opinion.
Baba, I'll go back a step further. As Matisse was a Younes that said, if it wasn't for Dalot slipping, let's take it back even more. If Dalot doesn't slip,
it's true. But also, if Caicedo just looked up before he passed, Badiashile was, if them two weren't behaving like donkeys as well, we don't concede. So there was a lot of luck, but there was also a lot of unlucky stuff that happened. Both of which are not in the manager's control, or maybe it is in terms of people will say systematically. Why do we keep if we keep making so many individual errors? At some point, you have to look at the system and think, why is that happening? But yeah, both of those scenarios, thankfully, they balanced each other out because it was just ridiculous.
I do think though, take away that Caicedo mistake, and look. I'm only saying this lightly because Caicedo obviously was at fault, but I think also Badiashile had enough time to cover for that mistake. But just for a second, take away that incident, I fully believe Man United still would have scored. The way the ebb and flow of that game. Yeah. You take away that situation away, I still fully thought Man United was going to score and potentially come back. But the way they came back so quickly, that's probably what shocked me the most.
Yeah.
I wasn't even surprised when they were leading 3-2. I was like,
"Oh, bro, I walked off." Yeah,
I was fully thinking, "This is my Chelsea. This is what we do." So, I'm surprised.
We can't stop conceding from crosses, but we're gonna get into it. Desassi and Badiashile, you two stink. Bang average, says Ethan. We're gonna get into partnerships. Don't worry. Feel bad for Poch when there's an individual mistake. It's on him, but when a player does good, it's an individual brilliance. And Poch got lucky, says Bradley. We're going to touch on that as well. Carney on the right attacking midfield spot. Give him a gusto at left back. Well, Carney's got to stay fit first. And you mean LAM? Yeah, I agree with you. Listen, I love Carney in that half space, but he's got to be fit for that to be consistently seen in the team. Big up for the membership gift as well from brother here who's trying to get Grizz out of jail. Now. We've had our, you know what, we said Enzo Mount before we move to the big talk about partnerships, Enzo versus Mount. Before the game, people were asking, like, should he be booed, Mason Mount? Obviously, he comes on. Did any of you guys care if he was booed? Obviously, 2-time player of the year, Cobham graduate, all that good stuff.
I wanted him to be booed. Yeah, more than you can believe. More than you can believe. I wanted him to be booed from the time he came off the bus till the time he went into the dressing room, till the time he went to sit down in the bench, till the time he came on. Every single moment of his time, I wanted him to be booed. Yes, I do not care. He's not our player. I don't care one bit about what was done or he contributed in our Champions League. So many players contributed in our Champions League victory. It wasn't just Mason Mount. A lot of them are not here. And similarly, I feel nothing for them. So right now, this is the bunch of players we have. And if it means that booing him can perhaps give us a some sort of a competitive edge and can rattle him, yeah, by all means.
All right, so this is where for consistency.
And just quickly, just before Younes goes one more time, just quickly, if we can boo our own player, Sterling, a few weeks ago, yeah, I think we can boo Mason Mount. He's not even our player.
Wow,
that's a point.
Damn.
That is a point. I mean, in that case, if has Havertz been back to the bridge? Yeah, he has.
He come off the bench for Arsenal, I think, but he didn't play a significant part, really, that I remember.
No, but would you boo these players? Would you boo like Havertz, Jorginho, Werner when he comes back with Spurs to the bridge?
So, nah, Werner, I won't boo.
Look, it's about the mood.
Do you know what? So yeah, I agree with Miz. I don't know because I haven't been to the stadium when I've felt like I need to boo an opposition player yet. I don't know why it's never happened, but we've just never actually. Like usually it's someone coming back. Say when Lampard for City, never gonna boo him, right? Petr Cech for Arsenal, never gonna boo him.
Never.
Yeah.
Even Willian for Arsenal was never gonna boo him. There's just certain players that have done so much and they were here for so long and they clearly didn't even leave on their own accord. Like they just were it was time over. Can't boo those guys. Never gonna boo my own players. So I've never booed for that. Never gonna boo my own managers. Never gonna boo for that. So I've actually very rarely booed. So I don't really know when I should boo, but I guess it would just happen naturally. Havertz, I'm not even angry towards him in terms of him leaving because I wanted him to leave. And I'm very happy for the money that we got for him. Mason Mount, I actually was cool for him to stay, but then so much politics around him that in the end, again, it was just like, just leave because I'm getting tired of this. There's a merry-go-round going on from two different PR machines and I can't take it anymore. It's just dividing the fan base.
I think we did not get any kind of closure with Mount in terms of his Chelsea story. That's why, like, it kinds of...
We're never going to get it because it's just, we don't know who to believe. I mean, I think
exactly
in terms of...
I feel Enzo kind of gave me closure. I think Enzo gave me closure. I think Enzo's gesture showed me that there was something internally happening.
Something's happened. Definitely.
Something's happened. For Enzo to click the way he did.
Yeah.
But this guy's South American, you know what I mean? Like these guys
they were
are
tight
ruthless.
as well. Remember, they were tight. So when Enzo came to the club, him and Mace got on pretty well. Like you could see. And all of a sudden we're seeing this. It's like, yo.
The way Enzo post-match walked up to him and goes like that.
Then they spoke.
I'm like,
South
Bruh, you've been waiting for this time, Enzo. You've been waiting. You've been licking your lips for this moment right here. That particular scenario, that video gave me closure. And that is exactly what I've actually hoped and kind of believed inside that. All of this PR about Mason Mount, oh, Chelsea forced him out. Yeah, sure, maybe they did. Both parties had their own agenda. Chelsea had their agenda. They needed to get rid of him to make money because financially we're in trouble. But don't you dare for a second make it look like Mason Mount was some sort of a, nicey boy who always wanted to stay. He was also in for the money. These footballers have a short span of career. They're not here to do any sort of loyalty for no one. Let's keep it a buck, okay? Mason Mount saw what his colleagues were earning and he was asking for that. And kudos to him. He's probably got the right to ask for that. But don't you dare for a second make Chelsea look like a villain here. Mount was an opportunistic person as well. Mount saw that it's my last year. I'm in power. I can demand what I want to demand or else I got clubs coming after me. He didn't get what Chelsea wanted to give him. Man United came in and he left. So...
Should have gone to Liverpool.
Whatever the case is, I think Liverpool were in the chase as well. Arsenal were in the chase as well. Apparently, recently we heard that Arsenal were very, very deep into getting him on board. But that situation with Enzo made me realize, because if you guys remember last season, after when that whole contract situation was going down, he stopped playing. Remember, he wasn't getting picked anymore. He didn't start for us anymore. Now, I don't know whether that was a directive from our owners or whatever.
Yeah, he was injured at the time, wasn't he? He was injured.
Younes injured. Or was he taking care of himself, knowing that Chelsea's going nowhere? It's a dead season. I need to look after myself because I may potentially get a new deal. That reaction from Enzo Fernandez, that's deep. If they were close, as Younes said, they were meant to be close. For him to act like that, something went down. These players know exactly what happened internally. So
yeah, well, they might not. I mean, I would boo Lukaku. I think the chat have reminded me. Yes, that one there, 100%. More they can believe.
Yeah.
I would boo.
Yeah.
I'd boo so much that I might lose my voice on that one still. So that would definitely be the case.
I would boo the owners.
I'd boo him for sure.
Say again.
Probably boo the owners.
I would boo the owners.
But
Yeah.
with Mount,
Spot
Mount, I don't know, because the thing is with Mount is they're doing the same thing with Gallagher almost in a more diluted way, because I don't think they haven't got as much of a negative spin to put on Gallagher, because Tony Mount obviously was heavily involved in the negotiations with Win Stanley, and obviously now Tony Mount is a Man United fan. As soon as he goes to Man United, he's doing the whole Mace, look, we're home. Fuck off, yeah. You're home now, innit? Yeah, hold that. So they haven't got as much of a PR machine to run. However, they're still not offering him a deal, and they're still trying to force him out. So when you boo Mount, can you really boo the owners at the same time? Because
no, you see, this is the difference.
Where my head is at with that one. I don't know.
The difference is it has to be acknowledged, and we know this now. Like Mrs. said, there's two sides that has ended up happening there with Mount and the club. Mount did have an offer on the table, and that was taken off. We know that now, right?
Yeah.
Gallagher's not had that. Gallagher's not had the contract offer properly. Like, it's just not got anywhere. So that's the difference, and that's where I think Gallagher will actually get even more support out of the fan base, based on the fact that no shenanigans have actually happened on that manner. You know, Gallagher actually genuinely just wants to stay.
Yeah.
With Mount, contract's there, it goes. Now he's peed off, and all of a sudden, there's no deal being done. Win Stanley's taken it, and then his team are flinging out all sorts of PR, and clubs are interested, and now he's talking, and it's just getting all really crazy. Remember that whole saga? It's all getting crazy.
Yeah.
That's
He had
why
a bit more
now,
of an ego. And I think
it's
important when we compare Mount and Gallagher that we have to remember Mount obviously got 2 Player of the Years, won a Champions League.
There's that as well. Exactly.
Banged in goals.
He's got leverage.
So he's got more leverage. He's got more stock. He's done more for Chelsea than Gallagher has in terms of performance at the highest level in big games, Porto, etc. But Mount obviously has a bigger ego than Gallagher, and I think that's clear as well.
Exactly.
Like Gallagher, I don't think Gallagher would be knocking on the manager's door if he was on the bench, whereas I know Mount definitely did knock on the door. If he was on the bench a couple times in a row, he's knocking on the manager's door saying what's going on, and that can be taken a couple of ways. You know, that could be taken as a good thing because he's obviously desperate to play, or it could be taken as you're putting pressure on the manager to kind of make team selections that favor more you playing because you're the golden boy, all the Chelsea fans love you, and you're playing into your favoritism. You're playing into the fact that you're the Chelsea boy, right? You're the poster boy. So there's many different branches and avenues that you can go with this. But one thing we can say is that Enzo, keep doing that. We love that. If you're not gonna have the most greatest performance, then you can always get endorphins that way, bro. You can always get endorphins going that way. You can always salvage something. But yeah, let's talk. Go on.
Just quickly on about Mason Mount, the second time when he got Player of the Year, I think we all agreed that was just by default. I think that was the sanction year.
Yeah, it should have been
where no one was good. I think a lot of us said maybe Thiago Silva probably deserved it, but Mason Mount
Rudiger
just got it because by default. The one thing we need to understand, see how Cole Palmer's performing this season, and he's undoubtedly he's the player of the season. Undoubtedly. There is absolutely zero doubts here.
Yeah.
Mason Mount, I don't think has ever been in a situation where there was zero doubts. There was always other candidates.
I think the first one was clear.
First one he was good, but I think you could also say a couple of other players were very, very good as well during that season, don't you think? The first one, the Champions League season you're talking about, right?
You know why? Because the Champions League winning one, if you remember when Lampard was sacked, the only person that was playing well, trying to keep him in a job was Mount. Remember that late goal against Fulham? And he I would say for that season, he actually deserved that one. Now, the second one, I would have given it to a centre-back. Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah. But listen, we move. And now we talk about centre-back and midfield pairings because, let's be honest, it was we go 2-0 up, and I thought we started the game very well, but then it's just an absolute disaster. And I've seen it with Disasi looping Sanchez this season. I've seen it with Caicedo turning over the ball. Badiashile against Newcastle when he's come back from injury, the positioning. So many errors in this back line. Now, I think we have to kind of talk about these two as a group, because your centre midfielders are meant to protect your centre backs, and it's the spine of the team. It's 2 and 2 in front. So everything there is linked up. The build-up play, the understanding between players when they're playing out from the back to make these individual mistakes, is on the midfield and the defense. The defending in terms of playing through the midfield and then putting the centre backs under more pressure, that is interlinked. Everything between those four should be like clockwork. The understanding needs to be at the highest level, and it's clearly not. It's at the lowest level. So first, and anybody take this, anybody, speak on it, but is the centre backs performing poorly because of the lack of balance and protection in front of them, and potentially maybe Enzo gets too far forward trying to do the box-to-box thing or whatever? Or are the centre backs just not good enough? Because I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I don't think Disasi's a starter. I think Fofana would put him out of the team. I really do. If Fofana was fit and firing and playing at the level that we saw at Leicester, the highest level I've seen from Fofana is higher than anything I've seen from Disasi. Badiashile, on the other hand, showed some promising signs at the start of his Chelsea career, and since the injury, he's just been absolute pants. So I feel like Badiashile, I don't know. It's tough because they're so early. It's their first season. So
I think there is a lack of role clarity in the team. Like, the roles are not defined, what each and every individual is supposed to do. Our off the ball shape is absolutely horrible. Every time we concede possession, it looks like one of the crosses will come in and we'll concede a goal every fucking time. Like, it's been a theme now. 2 out of the 3 goals were from crosses, like the second and the third goal for Manchester United, right? Bruno and Garnacho, the way they scored. So I don't think so that like the instructions are being given or the players are not good enough to carry out those instructions on the field. But when the same things happen again and again and again, and the same pattern of mistakes you're repeating, I think some coach has to take an accountability for that, in my opinion. So it's not clear that if the defensive midfielder will slot in if one of the center backs is driving the ball, or if center back loses the ball, then who's going to cover for him. Yesterday, if you saw, Cucurella was inverting in the midfield a lot in the first half, but then we were getting exposed at the back during the crosses. And whenever a cross comes in, only one center back is there, and Caicedo is always there somehow. The other center back is nowhere to be found. If you notice that in sometimes when we defend the crosses. So I think there is a lack of role clarity, and I think we need to really work on that. So players are not bad. The instructions and the tactical setup is awry, in my opinion.
because you remember when Rudiger was making errors at Chelsea as well. Like he had a lot of errors in his game as well. And then even Christensen, we had a lot of doubts about tummy aches and stomach bugs and lack of physicality. And then they grew into proper centre backs. I don't want to just rule them out and say that they're absolute garbage from the get-go, because it is their first season. I tend to give everyone one season to kind of, and also it's not like when Colwell and Silva have played this season, we've been defensively imperious. Like, Colwell has made loads of individual errors this season as well. He's been bodied, played out of position, of course, as well sometimes. Silva has not been great, but when he's played, I think he was involved in the Liverpool away game. So Cucurella was awful as well. Anthony absolutely destroyed him. I don't know what he was doing over there, letting Anthony run amok. So I don't know, guys. Like,
even for the cross where Fernandes scored that goal, that's exactly where Cucurella should be, and he was nowhere. Like, he wasn't even in.
He was
the
right
shot.
back. He was right back at that time. Like, for some reason, he was on the right back.
Yeah,
like,
he was right.
Yeah,
right back.
It's ridiculous. Like, so the placement of the players is key. I understand that as well. The first goal where Caicedo makes that pass to Badiashile, that's so criminal on so many levels. It's crazy because 8 months into a season, right? It's around there.
Can't get the basics right.
Yeah, this far in, that should not happen whatsoever, because the awareness should be there in order to know where your teammates are going to be. That chemistry should have been built up by now. And Badiashile receiving that ball, if he should even make himself available for that, if he knows what's behind him. He didn't know what was behind him. So on a manager level, the fact that is happening in the first place. On a player level, where the lack of awareness is there, Badiashile doesn't know what's behind him. He should know. Caicedo can see what's behind him. He still passes the ball. The goalkeeper is an option. Why didn't you pass there? It could have been averted on so many levels. It's ridiculous. So this is where we are. These are the problems that we have. This is why it's bonkers when you start noticing these things, and it concedes us to score goals. Like we end up conceding more goals this way. That was the catalyst to get United thinking, yo, let's go. We've got this. And they did have it. They immediately got the second after that. And then they went on to get the third. It set the bad tone. So I would say on every level, the players and in the moment, they should be doing better. The manager has not got this shape locked down whatsoever. And you could argue it starts there because the players have to execute what's told. So you probably start with the manager on that one.
Just to throw in, like, if you was to give these defenders to a Antonio Conte, right? Someone who is like known for setting up his teams, you know, in a really, really well-mannered defensive, you know, the defensive setup's on point. Do you think what do you think the ceiling is for the Badiashils and the Disassis? Because right now we're talking about potentially bringing in a centre back. Diamande's been linked. Who else has been linked? Someone else from France as well at Nice, I think. Can't remember.
Yeah, some young,
another young player.
Euro or something like that. That's
not Euro. Someone else actually. Euro's going to Real Madrid, I think. So that's not happening. There's someone else, but I can't remember. It begins with T. I think Tosin at Fulham is running out of contract. I've been impressed with him.
Oh, Todibo.
No, he's not been linked, but I've been pretty impressed with him this season. He's on a free, so if we are strapped for cash, we are going to have to look at free transfers, and that could be one.
No, the French one that you're talking about was Todibo.
The one with T.
Todibo. That's it. Yeah.
Nice.
That's another one we've been linked with. And then Tosin at Fulham is on a free. Maybe that's something that we look at. I think he's like 26. Like, do you guys want to kind of rip up that defense and go again with? Because defensively this season we've been awful. Like, and I'm trying to figure out like where the problem, or maybe it's just a multitude of problems. But this is our worst season defensively since 92-93 season, I think. And there's no chemistry in the centre back pairing. That's both come from Monaco, which is crazy. No understanding between the pair of them. We're conceding from crosses. We've got two centre backs that are over 6 foot, and we're conceding from crosses to Bruno Fernandes and to Garnacho. Crazy. And then you take a look at the midfield in front of them, and we're lacking. It seems like we're lacking balance there as well. Because what's going on?
do you know what? Before I address that, just quickly on what Younes was saying about that Caicedo and Badiashile. If you notice where Badiashile was positioned as well, Badiashile was adjacent. Why are you on the same line as Caicedo? Caicedo's instinct from his playing, you have to realize Caicedo's come from a Brighton playing style where it was so instinctive to him to one-touch pass in midfield, and he knows his players are there. So that he needs to deconstruct first. But the other thing is Badiashile as well, and this is where I guess the main point comes in. Poch has not really set this defense up correctly. Badiashile should not be in the same line as Caicedo. He should be a little bit deeper so that Caicedo can actually pass it to him. So that's one thing. But going back to the main point now, right? I think this is a mismatch of the kind of players that we have and the kind of manager that we have. The manager has a certain way of playing his football. The manager is, I believe, is actually purposely playing a basketball game because he wants it to be open. The manager actually doesn't want a very controlled game. He wants a chaotic game because he probably thinks that's the best way to score goals, right? So,
and he'd be right in thinking that because we're shit against the block.
And no problems. And maybe this is his way of playing. So if we acknowledge that Poch wants to play a basketball game, chaotic end to end.
Yeah.
These are not the players for him. These are not
Especially
the players.
not the centre backs as well, because they don't have the pace. You look at
Exactly.
Van der Ven, you look at even Kwanzaa, you look at Konate, pace.
This is what I was saying. This is what I say. Liverpool are built for the chaotic nature. Why? One, they are quite comfortably, press very high up. They keep a very high line. And two, their centre backs, Virgil van Dijk, Konate, now Konza, whoever, they're robust. Do you know what I mean? They know how to jockey a player as well.
Yeah.
They will not allow you to cut in. Like, you can run, keep running, no problems. I'll make you run where I want you to run.
Yeah.
And they are very good 1v1 defenders. Van Dijk, Kwanzaa recently, Konate, I've seen how good he can be. So that's one factor. I think the defensive structure and these defenders are not suited for how Poch really wants to play. If we want to keep Poch, we do need to think about this. I don't think these players can change straight away.
Is it not the job of the SDs, when they've spent months deliberating whether they should hire this manager or they should hire someone else, is it not their due diligence to then make sure that their recruitment matches up with the manager? Because
100%.
Of course.
We're seeing that they can sign some talented players, but there's an imbalance in terms of maybe the intangibles, like the leadership qualities and like the experience at the top level. So they're missing out on the intangibles. There's a gap in the recruitment on the medical side because we're signing fragile players that have come off injuries at other clubs for a very robust, very intense manager who is going to put them through the firing line in training. And by the way, I don't even want to go into the training thing too much, but Pochettino is not the first and the last manager to be very hard on players in training. Conte, players have to suffer. Thomas Tuchel, players are training on the morning of the game. So it's not the worst strategy for players to have to go through it in training so the game feels easier. I can make sense of that. What doesn't make sense is to have then fragile players. Liverpool under Klopp, they don't get the fragile players. They don't survive. Naby Keita, he died. Oxlade-Chamberlain, he dies. Thiago, he dies.
Gone.
It's mad, isn't it?
On a grander scale, we have signed many fragile players who cannot handle that level of training intensity, because there's some players that just never get injured. Disasi never gets injured. Gallagher never gets injured. So what is truly going on an SD level where they're not matching? And this is where it comes in. You're not a manager, you're a coach. You remember this? You're not a manager, you're a coach. You're a coach. And as a coach, your job is to train the players that we give you. And you don't really get too much say on the recruitment. But then if that's the case, you've got to know what that manager demands and what he needs and what he envisions for his team. Because if you don't know that, and then you sign players that are just talented, it doesn't match. Talent is not enough, quite clearly, as Mudryk says.
This is why Matisse, from the get-go, like, owners are thinking one way, sporting directors getting the information and thinking another way, and somehow they've just reached to this conclusion with Poch. I think purely for the sense that there's a lot of young players and Poch has got a record of building young players, but they've completely disregarded the way Poch plays football. They completely... This is why I feel these owners, I hope you're learning. I really, really do hope you're learning, because now this is 2 seasons in a row where you're screwed up. I hope next season you really understand that a manager and the way they want to play their football is very important to understand who you're bringing in. Because, Matisse, you're right. And that's just defenders that we've talked about. If you now talk about midfielders as well, these midfielders who are getting their reputation damaged, I can see it in the live chat. I can see it all over social media. Enzo Fernandez is not a footballer. Caicedo is not a footballer. But Conor Gallagher is a footballer. Now,
bro, if you, I'm sorry, but if you was to give Enzo and Caicedo last season, McAllister and Caicedo, what in terms of in terms of the stature of the midfielders, in terms of the physicality of the midfielders, what's the massive difference? But look how good they look.
But they took Brighton to Europa League position.
It just feels like the wrong manager for the wrong players. If anything, Poch, if you were going to get Poch, you should have bought in Onana from Everton. I know people are not his biggest fan.
100%. No.
Long legs,
Yep.
covers
Onana.
ground,
Yes.
open spaces, transitions, back and forth. It might not be the cutest, most prettiest player, but Onana,
Declan Rice.
Poch,
Declan Rice is another one.
Makes more sense. Yeah, it's true. Probably makes more sense.
Poch player. Souček is a Poch player.
No,
I'm not even
don't do
kidding.
that. Souček
No,
is shit.
I'm not kidding. No, I'm not kidding. I'm just saying, like, these are the type of players that you need to give Poch, like, physicality.
Yeah, you need to give Poch players that are going to do the dirty side and do it well. You know,
But it's too late for that. We've already spent 200 million on the midfield.
Poch keeps talking about run. See his pre-match press conference before the Man United. We need to run. Poch never talks about. Do you understand? If you look at the way Man City plays, have you ever look how compact Man City are? Their defenders are so close to the midfielders. Midfielders are so close to the attackers. There's a reason why Man City, when they lose the ball, they win it back so quickly, because everyone is in the right place to win the ball back straight away. Look at how expansive we are. Look at this match against Man United. The gaps in between defense to midfield to attack, in between Gallagher and Caicedo and Enzo. Everyone is so far away from each other, the space. This is why Poch keeps harping on about running, because he wants it expansive and he wants you to cover ground. There's two different philosophies going on here. Either you're going to play an expansive football and you need runners, you need physicality, you need less technicality, or you play compact football, close knit.
The thing is with me, I don't mind expansive football, but you just have to learn how to defend if you're going to play it.
Yeah,
to a decent level. I don't even mind these. I don't mind being the Liverpool under Brendan Rodgers, where it was like 4-3 every game if we're winning games, right? But obviously that's high risk, because if you don't get those goals now, you better be clinical. That was Suarez, Sturridge, and Sterling, right? That was that attack. Like you better be clinical. For as many goals as we've scored this season, we're still 20 goals off the top teams. We're still 20, 25 goals off the top teams in the league. We've got a long way to go in terms of getting goals, but we've done much better than last year. Last year, for goals scored, was an absolute travesty. Absolute travesty. If you're going to play this way, you need quick centre-backs. You need athleticism in midfield, and you need clinical forwards.
You need three Gallaghers, Matisse. You need three Gallaghers.
I wouldn't want three
That's
Gallaghers.
what you need.
I'm going to be honest with you.
But I don't want it either, because that's not how I envision Chelsea Football Club to play their football. But if Poch stays next season, I don't know. If he does.
But this is my thing. How
it
can
will not work out?
How can Poch stay whilst this midfield is the polar opposite to the way the football he plays? Like you can see, this season he's tried to turn Enzo into a box-to-box, right? He's tried to make him into a bit more of a goal-scoring midfielder. He's chipped him with some more goals. He wants him still getting back with Caicedo to make the tackles, and he basically wants him to be back and forth. But he doesn't seem to have the capacity to be able to do that.
Maybe he wants Enzo Fernandez to put in a transfer request. That's why he's doing this.
I think
he's forcing him to do that.
I think he put his lot of eggs in the Nkunku and Lavia basket. Unfortunately, like he was waiting for Lavia to be integrated. I don't know if that was the case, and somehow it's a makeshift kind of a setup.
I don't even think Lavia's a Poch. Like I don't even think Lavia is like that much of a Poch player.
But Lavia would have worked out, just like Palmer. Palmer is also not a Poch signing, right?
Yeah, Lavia, at least Lavia being an in and out DM might have taken a bit of that load.
Lavia is very press resistant, and Lavia is very good on the ball. But Lavia, I don't even know if Lavia is an out and out DM.
But Lavia would have allowed us to play that single pivot.
Yeah. You'd hope so, yeah, for sure.
You'd think he'd be able to cover.
Remember,
a lot
even
of
at Southampton, he played in a 2 with Ward Prowse at Southampton, but he was,
but he was more of like a regista, not a regista exactly.
He shared it a bit.
Yeah, shared it a bit, and like that would have allowed Poch to have his 2 number 8s, like what he's trying to do properly.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like if that was the case, but that cannot be an excuse, right? Which top team? I don't know if we are a top team anymore or not, but which top team did not have which team had their all players available this season? Like City did not have KDB for a very long time. Liverpool did not have Salah during the AFCON. Alisson is out. Jota is out. Arsenal missed Timber, and few of their players were also not there. So it has happened all across Europe. Real Madrid, Barcelona, all of those teams are missing their key players. So that cannot be a excuse or a reason that why this is not working out. You have spent $1 billion, so you need to have that squad planning. That like what you did with the right back spot, I'm pretty happy with. Like we don't miss Reece James the way Gusto is playing. But still, Gusto, I feel, is quite fragile. Like every game, he limps off after the 85th minute. I'm scared.
Do you know what needs to happen, Matisse? Is that if Poch does stay, I think in the preseason, he really needs to sit down with some of these players and, as Baba said, really define their roles. He will need to say to maybe a Caicedo that I need you to do this for me in my style of football. I need you to do this, for instance.
I don't think they might not be able to do it.
This is the thing. If they've not established that after 8 months,
I'm sure they would have discussed this already. But I just don't think.
Surely,
like it's like me asking. It's like me asking Iron Robin to play wing back because I need because I'm Antonio Conte and I need you to do it.
It's like what we did with Callum Hudson-Odoi, right, under Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah,
play wing back.
Like footballers have been developing for 10, 15, 20 years of their life to play, well, maybe after the age of 12, 13. So let's say 10 years even. They've been developing to play certain positions and certain mannerisms in their game. To just ask them to just be able to click. And some are flexible and versatile, but some players are just not versatile. Some players play, that's their way of playing, especially if they've found previous success of playing that way as well, as Caicedo did at Brighton, for Arsenal to be interested in him. Yes. We as much as all these rivals will be calling him bums, your clubs were ready to put down pennies, big pennies, big pennies, Arsenal. Bro. Like, they were all ready to pay for this guy, so he can't be a fraud. I'm sorry, it's not possible. It cannot.
But watch him for Ecuador as well. Matisse, watch him for Ecuador. Similar sort of one-touch pass, what he was doing at Brighton. It's very difficult to deconstruct that. I think what Poch is probably going to say to Caicedo, brother, forget about the one-touch passing here. No one's available for you. When you get the ball, take your time, look up. If you need to go all the way back to the goalkeeper, go all the way back to the goalkeeper. Have you noticed that we don't really build up against Man United? How many times did Petrovic just pump the ball forward, long hit?
We have to talk about Petrovic. What did you make of him? Because he wasn't great.
Well, I think we all knew from a stopping point of view, he was always a tad bit better than Robert Sanchez. We didn't say that it was miles better. He was a tad bit better. But we all knew from the get-go with Petrovic that ball playing is an issue. We don't really build up. Chelsea Football Club don't build up anymore. We just pump the ball forward. And that's an issue because then you have to really rely on winning that first duel,
which we don't have that physicality in the
team up
front to
really lose that and the second,
and then we lose that, and
if this
we lose the second ball, and then we're in the back foot, and then we look discombobulated, as you would say, Matisse, because what happens is the long ball comes in, everyone's high up. Yeah, we miss that first duel. All of a sudden, the midfield's bypass because everyone's high up, and that first duel falls right in front of CB. That's when we all looks all disorganized. It's not about disorganized. It's about going that long and not having that shape. Do you know what I mean? So
this is, but the thing is, if you go back in time, Petr Cech used to go long all the time. This brother couldn't play out from the back. He didn't even know what the hell that even meant. But because you've got your Drogbas and we
were winning.
It's a different, it's a different type of outlet to go to. There is Jackson tries his best, but it's still not the level of outlet needed. Especially when you know that most of the time Petrovic is just pumping it up there anyway. Like it's not the most coordinated long kick of you've ever seen. It's not an Edison level long kick. So
no,
but we also have to acknowledge here, we've seen this many times. When we do try to build up, how many times do we fluff it up?
Yeah.
How many times do we mess up and like we've literally given the opposition a chance on a plate? I mean, it happened yesterday. Like we saw that just Caicedo Badiashile was enough. That pass just showed us enough. We've seen mistakes with Disasi, in build-up. We've seen mistakes with Badiashile in build-up. Hell, even Cucurella on the left or Gusto. Nah, not really. But you see, like, we're not perfect. even trying to build up. So sometimes to try and avert the risk, especially in a situation like we were in yesterday, where it was realistically, it was like one of those must wins. Like there's no sugarcoating this one.
But just on that, Younes, before you kick on again, if you individually look at some of these players where they came from, Cucurella back in Brighton was building up an issue for him. No. Caicedo at Brighton was building up an issue for him. No. Enzo Fernandez at Benfica. Huh?
What about even Sanchez?
Well, Sanchez was third choice in the end because it wasn't
third choice in the end at Brighton. But comes to Chelsea and we find out why. It's just
I
get what you're saying completely. Yeah. That is testament overall to the entire setup, which we've not got nailed down, and we've just explained why. Like we've just explained the imbalances in midfield and our defense and the gaps and if this is another thing, if we're building up and we're not actually tight, right, then you can't really build up. The gaps are too large, and you're going to have to go long at some points.
Yeah, because what we don't want to do is become a team that is like. Do we want to become a team that is hell bent on playing out from the back and has no other way of playing? In terms of like, we have to play out from the back, and it's high risk, high reward. Sometimes we get out, sometimes we don't. We turn over the ball in the first third of the pitch, and then suddenly they're on a breakaway, potentially tapping the ball in the back of the net. Like, do we? Because people are saying De Zerbi, right? And I get it. He suits the team in many ways. He's worked with Caicedo, he's worked with Levi Colwell, he's worked with Mudryk. Well, yeah, he's definitely not going to keep Sanchez. He's definitely not going to keep Petrovic in goal. He's going to want a new goalkeeper to start with. He's worked with Cucurella. Like, has he? No, he hasn't worked with Cucurella. Do we want to go down a route where it is like one way, my way or no way, but it's that way? Like because many people can flag up, and this is the people that kind of want a Diego Simeone or want a Mourinho or want those type of managers. Chelsea's DNA is to do things differently. And that's how we've won. When we start mimicking and copying others, we become the B-Tech version of them, right? Yeah. In many ways. We become and we know that De Zerbi's not world class. I'm sorry, he's not. Not yet for me. Yeah. You're gonna have to show it at a top club, and maybe we will be the dummy test. I don't know, but he's not world class, right? So do we want to go down that route? I mean, do we have a choice? I don't think we do really with the recruitment. We're gonna have to play some sort of good brand of football with these players that we've bought in with the Enzos and Caicedos.
More than the tactical aspect of which manager can play like what style of football with these players, I think we need a guy who can instill some mentality into these players. With mentality comes a sense of responsibility. With sense of responsibility comes a massive decline in individual mistakes. That is what we need right now. All these things are fine-tuning at the end of the day. Right now, we need a guy who can make these kids understand what is it to play for Chelsea, what it is like to play for a big team in Europe. Right now, all these players, I feel I'm fearing they don't get complacent because they are on these big contracts, they are earning these wages, and
I think some of them are.
Some of them will get complacent, and it will hurt us in the long run. And so, to do that, you need a guy who can actually do some work mentally, because last night was a clear example of how the hell you can do the same mistakes again. 2-0 is a very comfortable lead at home, and there is no way for the opposition to come back into the game. You gift them a goal, your shoulders drop, your head goes down, and you're letting them come all over you. Like, I don't know what happens again and again and again and again. So we need a guy who can at least tell these players to not to lose their heads. Tactics can come in later. There is no metric, no data which can tell you XM, expected mentality. Data will tell you the shot creating actions. Data will tell you how well a player has pressed, the PPDAs and your non-penalty XGs and all of that shit. But no data tells you how a player performs when he misses a sitter. No data will tell you how a player will perform when he comes back from an injury. All of that is down to mentality. And you need an elite manager to do that. Tactician later, mentality first.
Do you know what? Look, I agree to a certain degree what you're saying, Baba, but I don't fully agree to it, to the sense that this whole mentality thing, I hear it. There is definitely some lacking in mentality, and that comes through maturity as well. But I think sometimes we push it around so much that that's the only thing. we have to understand some of these players, like, for example, let's say Enzo Fernandez. He's won the World Cup with Argentina. That's no small feat.
No.
Okay. Enzo Fernandez's story comes from River Plate. Like, the
mentality has to be there.
He was there. You don't make it out of there without mentality. Caicedo, I think he's one of 7 kids or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Back in Ecuador, you don't come out of that with some sort of strong mentality and then break into Brighton and then break into the Premier League the way he has. And the story, every single one of these players have their own story as well. So I think we need to sometimes distinguish, are we putting so much emphasis on mentality that is the only thing? That there is definitely an aspect. They do need to understand which team that they're playing for.
There's a lack of leaders.
There's a lack of leaders. There's no doubts about that. But I think this whole thing about what Baba just said, we were 2-0 up. How did we all of a sudden get to 2-2? That I don't think is got to do with mentality. This is just
my point is, the minute we concede a goal or minute something happens that we are not expecting to happen, there is a pattern you've seen us play. Like, we'll get desperate, we'll hurry our decisions. Every player who gets a chance at the edge of the box will try to shoot. I'm talking about those aspects.
Yeah, but the game. But Baba, why though? Why are they doing that? This is where I feel like a manager gets all that time.
Don't lose your heads is my point. Don't lose. By mentality, I mean don't lose your heads.
Yeah.
Once you go down,
there's a difference. There's a quick one. There's a difference between not losing your heads and not caring. Like that's 2 different things. It's not to say that the players have just gone, I don't believe that. I genuinely believe that, and you can see they've shown it, and hence the dressing room hasn't exactly been lost. That's what would happen if they don't care. They do care. You can see that they do push, but in moments where things have started to turn, things are now not in your favor. What do you do to react and, like he said, not lose your head and be able to still keep the control on the game? Because at 2-1, you're still winning. But at 2-1, you could feel it. Yo, we're losing this now. He just knew. And when we did concede that second goal, we're just like, there it is. We're not surprised. And then we concede the third and we're like, well, we're not surprised. But why?
But on that, Younes, just on that thought, when we were 2-1, right? The first goal we conceded, okay, no problems. You can say that's a complete head loss from Caicedo. But at 2-2, Younes, I don't think that's all based on head loss. That's a complete loss of structure there. I think that's where the manager needs to go, lads, what's going on? Like, where is your repetition? What we practice week in, week out, where's the repetition? Why isn't it instinctive for you to know where you are? Like, let's just say us 4, we were professional footballers, and we play and we train, and we're under a particular manager that drills us every single training session exactly where we need to be, off the ball, on the ball.
So it's become telepathic.
It's second nature. You don't need to tell me anymore. It becomes telepathic, as you said, Matisse. Why is it, even at 2-0 up, why did all of us, I felt this way, at 2-0 up, that we were 100% going to concede? Why did we feel that way? Because you could see the structure is flimsy. You could see that any moment Man United was going to penetrate, because all of that movement was what was happening was by just pure luck. Nothing was actually by design.
No.
This is why I keep saying we need to
That's
be
why I
very
said it was
careful.
2 clowns fighting, because they don't do anything on purpose. It's just given to them.
And this is why I'm saying that we need to be very careful when we distinguish tactical flaws versus mentality issues. Let's not get too mixed up here.
So do you think we get complacent? Do you think, for example, when we lost that 2-0 lead, do you think that's down to complacency?
Now, he's saying it's structure and
structure.
I think it's complacent about what units. Why are we getting complacent?
I don't understand how.
Because if that's the case, how did we go 2-0 up in the first place?
Well, by luck.
So this is it, right? I don't understand how.
I don't think we designed. No, we didn't design any of those goals.
I don't know how this team
did we design any of those goals.
If we're scoring based upon rock and roll and transition, that is, I guess, technically by design, because as we just said earlier, he wants to play that type of football. So if we score on transition, it might not be the most pretty, passive of patch of play in terms of everything interlinking and connecting, but that is by design to score in those chaotic transitions. So that has to be given to the manager because he wants them to play like that. But in terms of when we talk about complacency, I don't understand how a team in 12th could be possibly complacent the game after conceding 2 goals to Burnley against 10 men.
How could you be complacent?
How can you actually be complacent? You must have zero shame to be complacent. Zero shame to be complacent. You're 2-0 up.
How dare you?
You've not won against Burnley.
Because
it's the most embarrassing result of the season.
Lack of maturity.
And also,
complacent.
this very same team absolutely pumped you at Old Trafford. Let's not even forget to mention that. Absolutely pumped you. So there's just no way. There's just no way. We've not. My thing is I don't mind playing the whole back and forth to begin with if that's how we get our goals, right? But at some point we have to have a second way of playing to either control or to sit off and defend in a compact, organized manner, and then break.
Do one or the other. Do one or the other.
You either do it in the Jorginho way and you keep the ball. And this is something, and I hate to bring them up. This is something Arsenal can do. Arsenal can do the back and forth. Then they can do the control. And then they can defend.
They mastered it. They mastered everything.
As a manager, you can't just go back and forth all game. Because one, your players are going to burn out unless you've got like literally Usain Bolt out there times 11. Or you're like, that's not going to be sustainable. You've got to have an element of control. You can control the game with the ball, or you can control the game without the ball. Some managers love to control the game with the ball. They say, if we have the ball, you can't score. That can be a way of us defending. I've said it before. But if you can't control games or whatever, then you have to be able to control games without the ball, which is what Arsenal did at the Etihad. They didn't have the ball, but they were in complete control. Man City were never going to score. Could have had 10, 20 more minutes, they would not have scored. So you have to pick one or the other. But we can't just keep going balls to the walls. We're 2-0 up now. Right, it's worked. Now, next 10 minutes, maybe we need to chill. We actually can't. We cannot. We have no way of doing it. Crazy.
Do you know what? Do you know why, Matisse, we can't chill? Because our gaffer keeps harping on about running, expansive play, open play. This is why I come down to there's a lot of things structurally that's wrong. You're 100% right, Matisse. Choose one or the other. Either you're going to sit back, counterattack, or you're actually just going to play gun-ho, high line, possession-based, do what Man City does, suffocate the opposition, play in their half. And if you can't play the way Man City does, then you do need to revert and play how you can, perhaps.
So my second question is, with the players that we have, which is the best way to go about it?
I personally think these lot, they can play possession-based football. I personally think that. There's a lot of technical players that can potentially play.
And get in Xavi.
This is why I wanted Enrique. Right? And I don't mind if we do get Xavi, right? But I feel these players can play a lot better in close, compact nature, Matisse. I think they should be a lot closer to each other.
Yeah.
They should not be so far away from each other. I think this is another reason why a lot of our players probably get injured, Matisse. Because at training, they're probably running. And this is probably why a lot of players keep getting injured. Is they're not built for that nature, that type of football. It's not a surprise that Gallagher is so fit.
So
he's used to that.
When you keep the ball for long spells, naturally the opposition are going to get back into their defensive shape because we're not moving the ball forward as quickly.
Yeah.
Right? So my next question is do you think Pochettino then can defeat low blocks to the level required tactically? Because if you're going to keep the ball, then you need to be a low block specialist, in my opinion. Because now what you're doing is you're slowing the game down. You're keeping the ball, which is great. We're not going to concede the transition, but
it's more intricate play.
Everything's going to have to be more intricate. Everything's going to have to be much more precise. This is where Gallagher for me comes straight out of the team, right? Straight out of the team. Bye. If Vamonos onto the bench.
If I could add to that point, Matisse, what you've mentioned. Intricacies and synergy. Synergy is a key word when you talk 100%. About possession-based football. These players need to be telepathic.
100%.
We are at a point where they can't even trust each other, and we then expect them to play like be synergic to each other, and just understand without even saying. Just because if you see traditionally the teams who have played better possession, like played good possession based football, Man City for example, like there's an example in front of. There's a synergy in the players. Like they don't need to, like instruct the players in front of them. Okay, make a run, make space for me, go like this, go on the overlap, all of those things. Like they know where the teammate is, and they like the Rodri pings a pass or KDB pings a pass. I don't think so that we have that right now. So we would need to work on the synergy also.
Yeah, look, I don't. I think you feel that way, that we don't have that, is because I think the manager doesn't implement that in the training sessions. The manager is not about
running.
The synergy.
It's all about running.
Manager is about expansive football. He's not really looking for close-knit synergy, intricacies. So going back to what Matisse was saying, does this manager have the ability, the capacity to play intricate type of football? No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. This is why we have two options in summer. If we are keeping Pochettino, then some of these players need to probably leave. And we need to give him his players to play the expansive football. But if we're getting rid of Pochettino...
Personally, I don't think we can afford to have a huge turnover of players again.
Not huge.
Because
maybe he needs three. So you are going to get rid of a lot of players for pure profit.
We're going to need three players regardless, because I think we can all agree that the goalkeeping situation, in terms of from a goalkeeper, for me, so for the rest of the season, Petrovic, even though he might not be good enough to be first choice to take us to the level we need to go to next season immediately, we don't know. Maybe his trajectory is going to, I don't know. I can't tell with him, but there's things to improve. Cross collection for me is even more important than the ball playing, because I think the cross collection is so key to defending set pieces. If you've got a goalkeeper, I think Man City Ortega is someone that should be on the list that we should look out for. We should look at. He's back up. He's not playing many games, but he actually is a good goalkeeper.
He's a good goalkeeper.
He's a very good goalkeeper. We need a goalkeeper. When we had Petr Cech and Courtois, as much as we had fantastic guys aerially, Gary Cahill, Ivanovic, Terry, Alex, David Luiz, but these guys just the corners were theirs. They said set pieces, what corner, and it just when you've this is the I'm gonna make this comparison, right? You let me know if you agree. It's two different parts of the pitch, but I think the kind of mental is the same. If you've got people that can take long shots, like Lampard, like Essien, opposition players automatically know if you give them time and space, 25 yards out, 30 yards out, they have the potential to punish you. So they close you down. And therefore, that little mindset switch opens up space and pockets in other places to play deceptive passes and take people out of position in blocks to say, right, if you don't close me down, I'm gonna lick this into the top corner. So you better come and close me down, and that will leave opportunities for others to pick up space, and then we can break the low block that way. Yes, that's another thing we lack with goalkeepers. If you have someone that is notoriously known for collecting crosses for fun, and he will do it to his heart's content, they will put those crosses in further away from goal. They will have more outswingers, more, and then next thing you know, they're getting further away from goal. They're less of a threat. Take Vicario, for instance, at Tottenham. They're putting the crosses right on top of his forehead because they know that Vicario doesn't like claiming crosses. So opposition teams against Tottenham, West Ham obviously scored a set pieces at the weekend. They're great at it. They put the crosses right on him because they know that he's not claiming it. So it's just becoming more dangerous. So it's something that we need to address because listen, Sanchez for me is just not good enough. He wasn't good enough when he came in. He's not good enough now. He's not good enough tomorrow. He needs to go. But we need to bring in, if we're going to go for a goalkeeper, I know people are talking about the ball playing, but the goalkeeper has to be able to claim crosses. He has to. It's mandatory for me.
100% he has to claim, but maybe this is where Poch, as you said, Matisse, could Petrovic reach...
develop that.
Develop that. I think he potentially could. In regards to the ball playing ability, if we are keeping Pochettino, I don't think he really cares too much about the ball playing ability as long as you're safe as a goalkeeper who can shot stop. Do what you're doing, Petrovic. Bomb it forward. Keep bombing it forward. Do you know what I mean? If you're not comfortable, keep bombing it forward. So I think the goalkeeper, I'm not really sure if Poch stays. I don't think he's going to make too many changes over there. What Poch does need to concentrate on is he needs at least one defender that is a beast 1v1, a complete beast. That's what he needs. He needs a midfielder that can complement alongside Gallagher, that can cover the ground just as much Gallagher does, but also can be quite good on the ball.
Gallagher's leaving at some point.
Well, then he needs two Gallaghers. Then he's going to need two Gallaghers. Do you know what I mean? So that, and of course, he's going to need a striker. He needs a striker that's going to bang in goals. So I think spine. Yeah.
By the way, the left back position is finished.
You can't. How many more left backs are you going to get?
I don't know. The left back position is mad.
We've got
we signed Cucurella under Thomas Tuchel. Completely different system. I think he could have played left side centre back pretty well because he had some really good games there. And then we had Chilwell at left wing back and then whatever. But completely different system. Can't play for a manager on like Poch. It just don't make no sense, right? So we need to look at left back because he doesn't rate Maatsen and
he doesn't rate Maatsen.
So it's a lot of work to be done. It's very embarrassing.
Left back is something. If we have Poch, we just need to suck it up and just continue on with what we have.
Is it time to move on from Chilwell?
I think so. I think Chilwell defensively is very, very shaky. I'm not saying that Cucurella is not shaky, but even going forward, Chilwell, the production level has disappeared since he's had that injury under Thomas Tuchel. So, but what can you do? He's the vice captain, and I think he's got a contract extension last season. So he'll probably be looking at his situation thinking, I don't need to leave anymore. I'll milk this now.
Yes, because I think we've let go of Maatsen, we've let go of Lewis Hall. Chilwell is not him. Cucurella, if we think of him as a backup, we need a premier left back. Because if we have to do something, Chilwell cannot be the guy. Because the performances this season are indefensible. Absolutely. There's nothing you can say good for Chilwell this season. So, I don't know, man. Matisse, what's your opinion on Chilwell?
Chilwell needs to leave. If I'm being dead ass, they're dead ass.
Yeah, because we had the same energy for Havertz, for Mount, for not performing, and if you're not performing to the level that you're supposed to, then it's time to move. Okay, it was.
I would have moved them both on, even if it was separately. But because they're not bringing leadership to the team, in my opinion, right? I know Chilwell might be a nice guy behind the scenes and he's friends with everyone, but I'm sorry, he's not a leader. I'm talking about leadership. I'm talking about leader of men, captain. He's not consistently available. Neither is Reece James, but I don't think they should be put in the same boat in terms of ability and in terms of quality and in terms of potential. So I think Reece James is worth waiting for. I don't think Chilwell is, right? And Chilwell and Cucurella, if we're talking about getting the wage bill down, these guys are on crazy wages. They're not worth the wage we pay them. They're just not. So if you was to move them both on, keep Maatsen as a second choice, even if he's not favoured, or whoever, bring someone through from Cobham and go and get a new left back who is athletic, back who can go up and down, can cross, can defend 1v1, and can pass the football and is technically secure. Someone like Udogie at Tottenham, something like that. Someone like that. Udogie at Tottenham is a good example of a left back that is very well rounded, polish up a few more things, and you're there. And that should suit any manager. Whether you need them to play left back, play left wing back, whether you play back 3, back 4, someone that is versatile, someone basically like Gusto, but on the left.
Who was Pochettino's left back in Spurs when he was there? Danny Rose, was it?
Danny Rose. Yeah.
So you remember back then, Danny Rose, he was robust. Going forward, beast, defensively beast. You need that type of a player for.
But the problem is there aren't many players around, right? Of the profile that you just said,
people are saying
traits plus leadership.
Someone's saying we need Chilwell for homegrown. Listen, we're never going to struggle with homegrown. I can tell you that for free. We're never going to struggle for homegrown.
Plenty of homegrown.
Yeah, and in terms of Chilwell, he does. If he could stay fit, this might be a different conversation. Chilwell can't stay fit. So, and that, unfortunately, that's been an issue for years now because of that big injury. So we have to, if you're gonna have these conversations for Loftus-Cheek, you have to have these conversations for Chilwell. We can't have someone making 200 plus K a week that is not playing 20, 30 games a season. It's nonsensical. Can't talk to me about you can't on one hand say, oh, we need to save money, sorry, ticket price is going up, but you're paying players 200K a week that don't even play. Make it make sense. Are you bringing the wage bill down or not? Because if you can't afford, you man gonna have this. They can't afford Osman's wage, but they'll pay the wages for the players that don't play games.
Like, for example,
Come
I
on,
really
man.
like DiMarco. I really like DiMarco.
Look how many. Look, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, look, he's a wing back though, isn't he? Look how many players are becoming available this summer that we could have gone for that would have actually elevated this team. Rodrigo could be unsettled at Real Madrid. If this was normal Chelsea, not this Chelsea, we took Pedro out of Barcelona. Talking about normal Chelsea, easily we go in for a player like that and can get him. Bernardo Silva, 50 million at Man City release clause. Now he probably wants to go abroad, but just hypothetically, again, we can afford that. That's the kind of quality we're talking about. If we were in a position of strength, we'd be able to get these players.
Rodrigo, 100%. If Chelsea were still a Champions League team, Champions League team, Rodrigo would have definitely moved to Chelsea. If we were a Champions League team.
Champions League team, that just normal Chelsea.
Yeah.
Normal Chelsea. Come to London, Champions League football, competing for titles, competing for cups, competing.
What's Younes' take on Chilwell?
Chilwell.
Time to move on.
Sorry, I've had things going on. I'm not convinced in terms of how far he's going to take us long term. I'll be honest. I think that even going in for a player like the names that have been mentioned, right? I'll give an example because I know this player well. If we were to go for Aït-Nouri, right? Say we were to get Aït-Nouri. Well, at that point, it's between Aït-Nouri and Chilwell. Like, one of them is going to be the number one. There's no backup here. Do you know what I mean? So if we are to go for a left back and it's not going to be, someone that's on a slightly lower level, definitely coming in as a backup, it's going to be someone that comes in to replace Chilwell. And if that were to happen, I do think that there's a higher chance that these players will end up replacing Chilwell. So
that's the quality we should be going for.
We should. No, absolutely. Look, Davis was meant to be available. Theo Hernandez is meant to be, possibly on his way out. Like, these are the names we should be, I think, going for. But even so, like I've said, if we're going for even a player like Aït-Nouri, or those players are, I reckon, players that will come in and take Chilwell's spot anyway. Chilwell doesn't help himself because of his lack of availability anyway. He's injured all the time. So it's
my thing is you should be going into this replacing Chilwell outrightly. 2 reasons. Quality-wise, we should aim for better. And secondly, he's not available. So once you do that and he's benched, because this guy should bench him indefinitely until he's, dropping off, but out of form, but he should just be better than him, right? Once you've done that, Chilwell himself is going to want to leave. Because Chilwell has aspirations to play for England. Chilwell wants to play football. He's not going to sit on the bench consistently for the first choice left back. I'm not talking about too long at this club. Have we had a left back where it's like, oh, maybe today Marcos Alonso, this season Emerson Palmieri, this season Chilwell. No. I'm talking about bringing in a left back that is it's undisputed. He's the first choice because he's that good. And then we could just move on from this part of the team. When you start bringing in players that are like, oh, rotation, maybe sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. This is when you get into this cycle of, oh, who's playing at left back? I don't want to know who's playing at left back. I don't want to. It's not a conversation who's playing at left back. Whoever comes in, that is the left back because they're that good. Not who's playing at left back. We've been doing this who's playing at left back for like 3-4 years. It's ridiculous. We used to that's our back four. If you want good defending and you want chemistry and you want consistency in the back line, your back four shouldn't change for the whole season. It shouldn't really change. But a couple of games, you might rest and rotate. Look at Arsenal, for instance. I hate to keep bringing them up, but their back four is consistent. Ben White plays every game. Saliba plays every game. Gabriel plays every game. And now it's Kivior playing every game. There was a little conversation between him and Zinchenko. Conversation is now over. That's how you build a good defense. You don't build a good defense from, chopping and changing. Who's this guy going to come in? Oh, it depends on who inverts and who overlaps. I don't give a damn. Get someone who can do both. Get somebody who can invert and overlap so we don't have to switch. That's the level that we need to have. Not, Cucurella can't cross, but if you just tuck him in, he's okay. And Chilwell can't tuck in, but if you just let him, I'm done. Done. Because some of these defensive issues is also just a lack of consistency with the team sheet as well. Because people just keep coming in and out and in and out and in and out. It's boring. So for me, that should be the mentality. If that's not the mentality with the left back position, then this club haven't seen enough. They've not learned enough from the previous years because it's become boring. We know Alonso couldn't start every game because he couldn't defend, but he loved to go forward. It's just like we haven't had a complete left back probably since I want to say
Ashley Cole.
I mean, even Azpilicueta wasn't a complete left back. He played there to do a job.
He did a job. He did a good job. But
it wasn't great going forward.
It wasn't an Ashley Cole-esque kind of left back, was he? And that's the level that you want.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Even Felipe Luis at Atletico, when we first bought him, if we had bought him at that time, if he was to come into this team in that period, like when he was at that age and come in now, clears all of these lot. Felipe Luis shits 100%. On everybody. times two, bro. Felipe Luis, if you're taking that, he comes in and just it demolishes everyone. It's not even a comp.
But it is true that I know injuries have affected us, but as you mentioned, the fact that Arsenal, they've been able to keep that back four so consistent, and they don't really give a damn whether it's a match every 3 days or match 2 days later. It seems to be the same back four all the time. We need to. Do you know what, Matisse? Like, these are the little things that make the biggest difference. I know we've not been able to do that because of injuries and this, that, the other, no problems. But if this manager or even another manager next season, we need to have a settled back four. And I don't care if then there are other defenders that are going to moan and be upset that they're not getting their opportunity. Well, I'm sorry. This is how it goes. This is how it goes. This is the back four, and they're going to play every single game to keep it. I mean, it's not coincidence that all of a sudden Arsenal have become sensational in defense. Like, this is not a coincidence, man. They've been consistently picking the same people in the back four. Now they're keeping clean sheets for fun. We, on the other hand,
also they're mammoths. Like, physically, they're imposing.
Yeah, but Matisse,
and not injury prone.
Bring only one of them to Chelsea Football Club right now in the setup that we have, bro. They are not going to look like mammoths. This is the thing.
I think Gabriel would go back to making some mistakes like he was at the start of his Arsenal career.
100%. What Poch needs to do is first pick your four.
And he can't because they keep getting injured.
That's the issue. But
after Badiashile and Disasi played against Villa, that was the only good game I remember recently. Those two played really well together. Was against Aston Villa. We were more compact. Everybody was more squeezed. And we thought, how great would it be to play those two now for a run of games? Let's leave Badiashile and Disasi together for those run of games.
And then I think Badiashile got injured.
Badiashile gets injured straight away. Badiashile's out. We had to change the defense again for Man City, I think it was. Straight away.
Yeah.
Straight away. So everything we've discussed in this show, it means nothing if the medical team don't get a grip. Honest to God. That's the way I'd like to conclude this. If the medical team don't get a grip, we ain't going nowhere, bruv.
Exactly.
I don't know what's going on medically, but we need to get a grip of the medical side of this club, because if we can't even keep players fit, and then when we bring in players, they just get injured as well, even though they didn't have injury histories. I think Lavia, he did have a little niggle last year at Southampton, but he'd also played the most minutes for an under-21 player.
Yeah, something like mad.
This season we've seen him
in the Premier League, I think, was it? Or
seen him for 15 minutes in the Prem, yeah. We're us and Newcastle right now. We're two clowns fighting. Who can have the worst medical team? It's mad. There are other teams with a lot of injuries as well, but
Newcastle at least have the excuse of they've been, playing Europe Champions League football for the first time in ages. They've got players that are not expected to do that sort of mileage, and then they all broke. It's much like us under Graham Potter to an extent, even though we had players that should be able to handle it because we had Champions League winners there. But you could argue that at least we had a busy schedule. Newcastle at least had a busy schedule. With us, different story. We're just medically pants.
Yeah. Chelsea need an experienced spine, lacking leaders for sure. Not saying that Eden and Cole Palmer are the same level. I mean, we depend on Cole Palmer like we did with Hazard in Hazard's final season. He had 50%
That's
of
not
our
a good situation to be in, right?
No,
that you depend on.
I get what you mean. It's not good though. It's not good because Cole Palmer is not Hazard.
And depending on, how old was Hazard when he left?
He was in his prime, so at least
depending on
at least you knew what you were getting.
Yeah,
Cole Palmer's still young, Cole
Palmer's a baby. Like depending on a baby as opposed to a player that's in his prime, there's big difference. Like at least you can have some sort of legitimacy in your argument that we depended on Hazard because Hazard was on his prime,
one of the best players in the world. No problem. Like
depending on Cole Palmer when he's only learning his trade. He's like, bro, I'm on work experience here. Why are you depending on me, man? I'm bound to make some mistakes.
Yeah, that's why I give him even more credit because he could have come in this season and been inconsistent and it would have been fair game. Didn't cost 70-80 million. He's young, no problem. First season at Chelsea, fine. He hasn't. He's been consistent. Have you seen what Enzo reportedly said to Mount? I actually haven't seen what he said.
I saw that. That's ruthless what he said.
What did he say?
Yeah, but again, how did they know this? Like,
I'm not sure.
That's what is it real? Is it real?
We've only got one amateur piece of footage from so far away. I don't know who's found that out.
Some Argentinian, I don't know, reporter.
Argentinian ghost was on the pitch and reported back to Argentina or what? Like,
but how could they read the lip from so far away?
It's impossible. You can't. Like the cameras were not clear. Like that angle, unless there was another angle that we don't know about. But that angle was so there's no way. There's no way.
But if that comment is true, that's
out. Unless if Enzo told someone what he said and then that's leaked.
Yeah.
Now that's a different story. But
who's the only other Argentinian in that squad?
Pochettino.
Oh dear.
No, people. Sorry, can I just say, people in the chat going lip read. Have you seen the video? Look at the footage. You cannot.
Far away.
You can't even see their faces, let alone lip read. It's too far away and it's too blurry.
All I saw was he went up to Mount and he pointed to his badge like that, and I thought that's pretty big, man.
If Potter had Cole Palmer, he would still be here.
Oh, Garnacho was on the field as well. Argentinian. I don't know whether he would have told.
He was taken off. That full time. Was he on the pitch? I don't know.
I think he was, Younes. I think he was. Garnacho was there. Oh,
it was a very different team last year. It's mad, right? But last season, we got to the Champions League quarterfinals against Real Madrid, like a normal Chelsea team would. But we also finished mid-table. But we actually still had Jorginho, Kovacic, Kante, Mason Mount, Aubameyang. I can't believe that was last season that we had those group of players. It feels like it should be 3 or 4 seasons ago because it's like, it doesn't make any sense. But that's the group of players we had last year. And we had too many players and all that stuff. It's just, I can't believe those people were here last year. It's mad. Feels like a long time ago. We had those players last year. We had Azpilicueta last year. What? Mad. Does it feel like last year Azpilicueta was here?
Yeah,
it feels like it was another like
ages
time.
Ago. Yeah,
it feels like years ago.
Years ago.
Yeah.
This season's been so draining. It actually feels like we've had this group of players for years.
Yeah.
And it
this season feels like 5 seasons.
It does.
Yeah.
Like people know we had Havertz because that got more attention because it was like Arsenal, and I'm talking players like Aspilicueta. No one talks about him anymore. We had him last season.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah.
A legend. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like we did. Doesn't feel like we did. Fitness and style of play needed for new talents, as Christian. Poch can't sort out defense when we lose 3-0 to Roma. Says Ruben.
Roma.
I'm not sure where that.
Yeah, what's Roma?
We won't be playing them. Unless they're in the preseason. Rudy was bad under Tuchel, then became our Rudy was bad and under Tuchel became our best defender. Yeah, he did.
Yep.
This is why I'm not happy, don't get me wrong, with Disasi and Badiashile, like in terms of the performances recently. But I don't want to just rule them out completely. I think Lawrence Stewart is under pressure. Don't get me wrong. Like this is literally your defensive combination that you've brought in. So you're under pressure. And I said, people get it twisted. I don't know these guys prior to Chelsea. So I'm not telling you that they're going to be great. I'm just trying to give them enough time with enough different circumstances to say they're definitely not it. Because I just don't know if making these little tweaks or even the managerial or whatever will actually bring them to life. You just don't know. That might be the case. But, you know, if it's not Enzo and Caicedo and Lavia, yeah, I don't know the rest of you, man. I'm just hoping. To Bubba's point, we need a manipulative guy. Someone who will act differently based on the personality of each player.
I agree.
That's what Jose and Fergie did. Interesting, HBK. Very interesting.
Yeah, it wasn't so much of a one size fits all.
Yeah.
Poch does feel like it's a one size fits all. And it's just like it's my way or the highway to an extent. Like not even like treating everyone the same. And yeah, I don't feel like you can do that on a footballing level even. So yeah, that's probably where he lets himself down 100%. And it's also what we've heard prior to what's happened at PSG and Spurs. And yeah, so
I do want to say one thing about Poch, and I think this is a bit of a look. Tactically, I think he's inept. Obviously, when it comes to press conferences, he's a bit of a clueless character, the way he talks. But the one thing I do want to say is that I think some players are very close to him. I get the feeling because it's not a coincidence anymore that every time we're under pressure, we pull out a victory somehow. Just when you think the players are on the cusp of probably downing tools, they wake up and they do this. Like you wouldn't do that if you didn't like the manager. You really wouldn't do that. I'll tell you straight up. If I don't like a manager, I'm downing tools.
That's the only thing we have in our favor this season. There's no beef back behind the scenes.
Like
it shows we've not lost any dressing room. 100%.
Yeah, so this whole thing about some players complaining, some players saying that they want the manager gone. Maybe there are, maybe the fringe players, but I think the core players that generally play, like if you look at as soon as we scored the winner, Enzo Fernandez went sliding down towards Poch and hugged him, and there's a really good picture of Poch and Enzo hugging together. Cole Palmer hugging Poch right at the end as well. Cole Palmer repeatedly saying that, this manager has given me the opportunity to showcase my talent.
No hogs for Ten Hag.
Hogs for Ten Hag. I do think these players, they like him as a person. How do we now get this team to be more tactically?
It reflects on what he said pre-game. You see, remember his comments going that about players feeling safe, and that they need to not feel safe. They need to stop feeling safe, and I think that hits home because I think on a personal level, I think he gets on with a lot of the guys.
Like a mate, like a father figure or something.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Sometimes that can be a bad thing. Especially with people that might misjudge the situation, where all of a sudden you just feel like yeah, we're tight. It's all good. I'm all right. He's not gonna, do anything on me because we're cool like that. Like, no.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he's your boss. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And really, I truly believe, this is just me. Some might differ. I don't feel like you can have it both ways. It's got to be one or the other.
100. Yeah, I agree.
Especially in a team without leaders.
Exactly.
They need the manager maybe to be even more of a leader in that way.
Yeah.
Because if you had a bunch of leaders in that team, they could kind of transmit the energy and the mentality to the other players. If you take this team and you put Terry, Lampard, Drogba down the middle of it and check, because we need that communication in goal as well. Very important. Put that spine through the middle of this team, all of those players in their peak, then they will transmit the energy and the mentality into that team. Do you know what I mean? Because they're captains. Do you know what I mean? That's what they do. We don't have that. So now it's even more on the manager to do it. But yeah. Yeah, you've said this a couple of times, brother. I told you.
Arash is jokes.
Get to the touchline, brother.
Does Arash come onto your watch-alongs and give you all these? Mate, it's brilliant. Big up
Get to the
Arash.
touchline. I keep telling you. Find yourself on the touchline. We're gonna wrap up soon.
I forgot what game it was. Yeah, I think we were throwing it away. I think we lost. Like, it went really south. And he normally comes on and goes, "Oh yeah, I've got this. I'm near the bridge. I've got this. I'm near the bridge." And then he literally went, "I've not got anything. I'm not near the bridge." It's just like, that's it. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Robert says, "I don't rate manager who need a whole new 11 suited to the one style." I don't think Miz was saying a whole 11. He said about 3-4 players or something max.
Yeah,
this is why one I personally rate is Tuchel higher than Klopp. He doesn't need a whole revamp to win. Shit. You're trying to wake up the Liverpool fans already, bro. Fucking hell. Jeez, Robert's on some next level madness, you know. Why? Yo, to think a manager only succeed if all players are suited to him is bizarre to me. A manager has to assess the squad and tailor a style to them. Hold on. So this is why I'm going to flip it on you. I agree, right? Some managers like Tuchel can come in and do God's work with the squad they're given. And there's two types of managers. There's ones that comes with strict principles and philosophy and their way or no way, like a Pep. When Pep went into City, how many players did he kick out the door? And how many players did he bring in? So you can't now say that Pep's not a manager or he's not, because he took everybody out of there and flipped it completely. Apart from the ones that were already, the David Silvers or whoever's already there that were tailored to his game. Joe Hart comes immediately out. So it's not everybody that's going to go in and say, "Oh, I'm going to bend over for your demands, like the way you need to play. I'm going to change." Pep didn't do that. Pep said, "I'm playing this way. You can't play this way. Get out of my club." Simple. So it goes both ways, bro. It goes both ways. It's not just one way. And I would never ask Pep to almost go back on his own principles to suit Marcus Alonso, for instance. What the hell are we doing?
No.
Get him out of the club. What? We're not doing that. Mount used Chelsea for a resume. Sorry, and when we needed him, he dipped. I don't think that's true. That's crazy. No. I'm not gonna lie. I have seen every single Man City player put in a mad defensive work rate. We ignore this and only see tiki-taka running is mandatory in the league.
Okay, this is a good point. Can I just quickly go, because I know Younes want to say something as well. Just quickly on this one. It's a lovely super chat. Okay. Have a look at when Man City lose the ball and how much ground do they really have to cover to recover it. There's a difference between covering this much ground and this much ground. Both are running, but how much are you running? Man City are designed in a structure to be very close to each other. So when they lose the ball, they can attack you and get the ball back straight away. They don't play this expansive way of football where you lose the ball, now it's a sprint race. Let me stop you. Let me chase you. Last minute slide tackle. Yeah, and SRC style. Yeah, all of that fist pumping. No. That's not Man City. Okay, so both are running though. When Man City lose the ball, they're running, but they're running for smaller distance.
And when you maybe now, if we had a chart of distance covered, maybe I don't know, we'd be able to see it on a graph.
Brother, we don't need chart. I can tell you straight up, Man City are not chasing long distances. That's not their game. We are chasing long distances because we play expansive. So when Pochettino says run, why certain fans get annoyed like me is we don't have the players to do that. We've got the players to be more close proximity. But people misinterpret that the way this super chat did. So sorry, Younes, go on, bro.
No, it's a point. It's a good point. I got to say that's completely valid. You've made a lot of sense. So no, on that front, spot on. I wanted to just pinpoint because he mentioned Pep. Did you guys see that clip of Pep in the dressing room?
Yes, I did. I'm gonna go and watch that doc. I keep
Yeah,
forgetting. I need to watch that doc.
I need to watch that as well. Top clip that.
Baba, I know you gotta go, so I'll see you out, brother. Let the people know where to. We're gonna wrap up soon, but let the people know where to find you, bro. Been a pleasure.
Yeah, man. Top show. Like I really enjoyed. It's always good to come on air after we've won a game. So it has been a rarity this season, right? That we've done a all you can eat after we've won a game. So it's good to do one for a change. So same as always, Drogbaba just recently completed 250k subscribers. So thank you so much to each and every one of you for the support. Means a lot. Chelsea has made me change sports. I'm covering cricket also now. So do make sure to check out my cricket channel as well. The IPL Indian Premier League is on. So I'm doing a lot of cricket stuff there as well. And today we'll be doing a CSK versus SRH watch along. So do make sure to join if you're interested in cricket. That's all. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Big up, bro. 250 is ridiculous.
Thank you.
Quarter of a million people. Quarter of a million. Man has surpassed Deal or No Deal. Do you know what I'm saying? He says I'm mad.
Nah, man. It's because of all of your support, man. It's not me only. It's
insane.
Because all of the subscribers, the people who watch us, and of course you beautiful people who support me.
Bro. Wow.
And give me a platform to express myself. Thank you so much to everyone.
Pleasure, bro. Pleasure. We'll see you next week. Hopefully, we should win against Sheffield United, and we can continue the good momentum.
Yeah, I hope so. Chalo, take care, everyone. Bye. Cheers.
Big up, bro. In a bit.
Yeah.
We're coming towards a close anyway, people. Just gonna fly through these super chats and quickly. I mean, Sheffield United, guys. If we don't beat them, I mean, you know what? This team. Surely they're not going to do this again, where they take us to here and bring us back down to here. I can't even guarantee nothing.
Bro, I said this yesterday on the watch along. Yeah, when it became 2-2, and then when we went to 3-2 as well, I was saying this club finds new ways to shoot us even further down. Like just when you think that's it, bottom of the barrel, it can't get worse, they somehow find a way to hurt us more. So I am honestly, I'm not even going to mention it again. We saw what happened to Burnley. We were all going, surely not. Look what happened. Then we've gotten this result. I'm just going to say, if we throw Sheffield United away, then all of this that we've just done today is void.
Facts.
Yeah.
It's
literally
void.
if we drop points to Sheffield United, what we just did yesterday in that last what Cole Palmer just did in the last 82 seconds is literally pointless.
Exactly. You know what? I would expect a club statement, a public apology from the club to Cole Palmer.
Yeah, facts.
Just to Cole Palmer. Apologize to him. That's it.
But this is why we need
I'd like to realistically, I'd like to think that Sheffield United are the next level down to Burnley. Do you know what I mean? Like, surely.
Bro, we're 5 points off Man United with a game in hand. If we win our games in hand over Brighton, Newcastle, West Ham, we're in 7th. 7th is meant to be Europa League, potentially. Not confirmed, but most likely. But the problem is that we're always in... The thing is, when you fall further and further down the table, it's easier to get up because the teams around you are inconsistent. The teams around you lose games. If we were 20th, 2 wins, and we're probably 15th. Like, that's how it works down there. But the problem is that we're down here because we can't win 2 games in a row, because we don't have any consistency. So it's all good saying, oh, we're not far away. We just need to be consistent. If we were consistent, we wouldn't be here in the first place. That's the problem.
That's the issue.
That's the problem.
Yep.
And we've not been above 8th all season. So until we actually put some consistency down, I can't believe that we'll be consistent. Because Sheffield United it's a gimme. Sheffield United are the worst team in the league. But
Everyone's battering them.
Burnley
Everyone's
with
battering
10
them.
men were also basically even worse. We didn't win. So we just have to take it one game at a time, guys. We really do. And I'm not even saying that I'm saying we actually have to take it as one game at a time, because there is no point looking past Sheffield United. There's no point. Sheffield United away is a game that we have to give our undivided attention to, because it's as big as the Manchester United game just gone by.
It's huge. And you want to know why?
It's massive. Massive.
So today, 2 games have now been rescheduled fully. The calendar has now been updated. Have you seen the calendar?
Well, have we included more games in April, Younes?
Yeah, the Tottenham game is now rescheduled. West Ham is rescheduled. Everything is there now. So now, look, after Sheffield United, right, we got Everton at home. Okay, cool.
Man City.
There is still the Brighton game that needs to be filled in somewhere, but we've got Man City in the cup, Arsenal, Villa, Tottenham.
All in April.
And we have to fit. Yeah, all in April except Tottenham 2nd of May.
West Ham.
And then we've got West Ham after that, 3 days later.
West Ham at home is not easy.
But we still have to fit the Brighton game. The Brighton game's not been fitted in.
So just think about that.
Sheffield United is huge.
Arsenal away, Tottenham at home, Aston Villa away, who are chasing top 4. Even West Ham at home, London Derby, they got quality players. Paqueta, Kudus, Bowen. Brighton away, right? De Zerbi. That's our season, people. Then it's Nottingham Forest away, who could be fighting for their lives. Hopefully they're safe by then. And Bournemouth at home. You'd like to think they'll be on the beach. They're already safe. We should be able to beat Bournemouth at home on the last day of the season if we have to, and they don't play for anything. But just think about that. And that's the season. And then it's done.
With those last 2 games, we would have either made it or broken it by then. Like, I'd like to think. Before we play Forest and Bournemouth, that's the end of the season. That's done. So you'd like to think that we've either done all the damage or we've got to where we need to be by then. So
yeah, and this is why those Burnley at homes and those Brentfords, those Wolves, where those passes don't get played, Wolves away, Wolves at home. We might look back on these. We probably will, and be like, bruv, because you can't drop points to these teams. So we have to. So now, let me be honest with you. We have to go in. We have to go to the Emirates with the mentality that we need to win the game. I'm gonna be honest.
Of course.
If anybody's sitting here thinking,
we need to get something out of them.
If we're sitting here thinking here that we can think about it, do you know why, Miz? I'm not even saying a draw, because we can drop points to teams that we're meant to win against. So I'm already trying to counteract that by beating teams we're not meant to win against. We need to beat teams we're not meant to beat. That's how it is. We need to go into that Arsenal game thinking we need to win. We need to plan to win. Even if it's a low block or it's a break, or what, we need to plan to win. We drew with them at Stamford Bridge. We should have beaten them. We've drawn with Man City. We need to go to Arsenal. Even just forget about all of the rivalry and the title race. I mean, we should be even thinking to beat them just because of all of that crap. But we need to go there and we need to win.
Do you know what?
So that's how we should be going in. If we're going in there thinking we need to get a draw, then we're going to lose. That's how I see it. We need to go in there and win.
The season is set up in a situation right now where these Chelsea players and the manager, they will be looking to get, obviously, a Europa League spot because it's within the grasp, right? We have, I think, few games in hand, and if we beat Sheffield, hopefully we do. It's going to be a totally different game. This is not going to be a basketball game with Sheffield United. With Sheffield United, we're potentially going to have to. Sheffield United is going to be. They're going to be very, very strong defensively. They're not going to have so much space open available for us, and they're going to be looking to counter. I'm not saying that they're just going to sit deep and that's it, soak up the pressure. They're going to try and win the match as well, of course, but it's not going to be a basketball game, I don't think. So if we can get the 3 points against Sheffield, I think we're then only 2 points away from Man United, who are 6th.
Yeah.
So I think this is the first time properly. I know we should have won against Burnley and that really would have put us in a good position. But I think looking at the table, these players, I really want to see now. This is where I think the mentality kicks in. How much do you really want this? And we're not even asking for, like, our standards have gone down. Like, we've lowered to Europa and we're excited about Europa League. It's not like we're asking for Champions League positions.
I'm not. You know what? Yeah, I'm not even gonna put it to this. For me, it started with Burnley. I'm gonna wind it back. For me, it started as Burnley. Burnley at home. You're fresh off the international break, I think. Right. That is when it should have started. That's when you're playing against second from bottom. That's when your mentality should have kicked in.
Yeah.
You have just come back from an international break. You've had time to regroup, discuss, go away, play yourselves into form for Ukraine, for England under 21s, for all of this. That is when the mentality should be kicking in. It should have kicked in even before that. But
especially with Burnley with a player down.
If we're talking about a mental switch, that was the time to switch.
Yeah,
at least. So for me, they're in debt. They owe us. They're in debt. So yeah.
So the way you repay us back is 3 points 100% against Sheffield, and that match against Everton after that. As Everton's tough opponent, very, very combative opponent. Not that they win a lot of games or anything like that, but they're solid. So, we need to make sure that we get something out of that. Did we beat Everton last time? I don't think we did we? At Goodison Park?
I doubt
I think we lost, and then Reece took them out for a dinner, didn't he? To the restaurant.
Something like that.
Oh yeah, the whole dinner nightclub saga.
But to be fair, usually in those fancy restaurants, you got to pre-book a week in advance, so he probably just didn't think we'd lose.
Yeah, well, silly him.
Can't cancel.
He should have thought.
Oh dear. Younes, the epitome of mentality after the way he was trolled the whole of last season, and he's been amazing this season and will continue to improve, in my opinion. Big up for the super chat, brother.
That goal he scored yesterday was freakish.
Yeah,
not by any credit to him either.
It's mad. He's a very confusing footballer. Biggest problem with Poch is he doesn't know game management, in-game or management of players' talent is frustrating. It's the Final Whistle podcast. You'd hope with the amount of experience he's had at all these different clubs that would not be the case, brother. I must say, you'd hope that he'd be able to manage the games. One experienced mid centre back and left back, our team looks so much better. A little bit of experience and calmness in defense. Silva is still better than all of our centre backs. I don't want to just emphasis on signings too much, because if we don't keep people fit, it doesn't matter who we sign, because they're going to be in the medical room, guys. So we have to fix what's happening internally. We can't always go in what's outside of the club, bring it in, and everything will be better. We actually need to fix what's internally going on in here. There's a lot internally that's going very wrong. If we fixed all of that, then we can see some proper improvement. Mount didn't want death row contract of 7 years. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that'll be the sticking point with Gallagher as well, if an offer comes in. If you're going to win as much as Pep, get all the players. Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, Pep is an anomaly. You listen to Pep. Does Poch stay one more year because available managers have 3 better placed clubs to choose from, plus Man United? We might end up with 4th, 5th choice manager. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's the same argument we can have with players. Do we bring this player in because are they really good enough, or have we just lost out all of our top targets because they've gone elsewhere? Because we're not the team that are going to be pulling in, the Champions League football, the high wages, all of those things to entice them. So same goes with managers, I guess. We're not going to bring in Thomas Frank or Marco Silva. So, we'll see who we end up with. Anyone who feels that Mount was pushed out, I feel sorry. should just look at the video of him in the United locker room when he signed. It was over for real. For me, that very second. Remember the quote by Reece James about carrying the bricks. When it comes to Mount and that, I mean, I think there was something that came out where he's been struggling to respect Chelsea fans, but also appease Man United fans and win them over. So I get it from that standpoint. You know, if you leave a club that you love, I do think he did love Chelsea, but then you end up at Man United, or you choose to go to Man United, that's a little bit of a sticky one still. You know, how are you going to mentally show that you love Man United, or because you need to show that you love Man United to the Man United fans without disrespecting Chelsea? It's virtually impossible. That's why when I say when you go to a rival club, you just have to accept that you're the villain. Like you can't, unless you've done 10, 15 years like Czech Lampard and you've gone to a rival and then everybody just knows what it is at that point. You know, it's the last hurrah, it's the last season, whatever in your career. If you're moving in the middle of your career, if you're doing an Ashley Cole or whatever, like, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry. If you're going in the middle of your career when there's still much more trophies on the line, much more of your own career on the line, and you could still perform at a high level, you're gonna become the villain, and you just have to accept it. That is your story. You have to embrace it. You have to.
And you know, yesterday I think that's the direction he was taking in the game.
Yeah, he was.
Because when he came on with 5 minutes to go, obviously the boos were crazy. But when he came on and you could see he's squaring up to Enzo, yanking his arm off Madueke, really going in for challenges to intercept. And he was like, for the 5 minutes he was on, he was taking the ball off us numerous times. I was like, oh my God, you just knew that's what's going to happen. But I don't think he anticipated the way that game was going to end. And he was the one that was meant to make the block, and he couldn't make the block. And that's where it's all just turned on him. But I do feel like he tried to embrace that villain arc for the time that he was on the pitch. Unfortunately, it backfired for him. Yeah,
I mean, listen, you're paid by Man United now. You play for Man United. You need to be a Man United. You need to be a Man United player. You're not going to be unanimously loved by Chelsea fans playing for Man United. Even the proper Chelsea, they were having songs about you in pre-season, So you got to just move on. We have to move on. We have moved on, and you need to move on. There's no point trying to play both sides. It's not going to work. Because if you win a Premier League title for them, I ain't going to be happy. So it's as simple as that. Just keep this nice and simple, bro. Cut these ties cleanly. People that are still trying to love Mason Mount whilst he's at Man United, I fear for you, because it's just I don't know how you're going to ever move on.
I really find that very strange. I really do.
There's no choice.
Like, do any of you boys feel still the love that he's wearing a Man United jersey and he's coming to win the game for them?
No.
I don't understand how. Like, I think I saw Olivia Bazaglo put out a tweet saying,
but she's friends with him, so that's she knows him personally. It's different. But I'm talking about fans that don't know him. Like, he doesn't know you. You don't know him. Move on. Yeah. You know what I mean? Move on. Yeah. You don't know him. You don't have him in your phone book. You ain't friends with him. You don't talk to him. You haven't interviewed him. You've never met him. Just move on. Just move on. Just move on. It's just easier if you just move on. If you built up that rapport with him, all right, fair enough. You wish him well. You know, you don't know him. Just move on. He's a player, football player at the end of the day. This is it. We move. We have to move.
Like, I think Olivia's argument as well wasn't necessarily to like give him the best reception in the world. It was just a case of like, is there really a need to boo? Just ignore. Just don't participate. Just he's just a player on another team, and that's it. Just.
Yeah, but you know what? I've spoken to him.
I never see Olivia say that for Jorginho or anyone else. Like, maybe that's because of the friendship. She's not friends with Jorginho. I guess that's why booing Jorginho count. Like, that's fine. You can do that.
Yeah, I mean, she hasn't come out and said boo him, but she's not going to say not boo him, because maybe there's no relationship there, like you said. But yeah. I always say, right, and I've said this. I've interviewed her before. I've had her on the channel. There's no point going to journalists who work in football and speak to players and expecting the same type of rhetoric as fans. There's no point. There's no point. It's not going to happen. They have jobs. They do their jobs. They speak to players of all clubs. They go to different grounds, reporting all teams. This is their job. Not going to get the same. Not going to get the same mentality, the same attitude towards how we're going to do things from a fan perspective. For me, I'm not expecting her to say boo Mason Mount, because she's just not going to say that. She could be interviewing him next week, right? Me, boo him, because I don't give a damn, bruv. I want to win the game. End of conversation. If he is going to put in a stinker because his head's gone, fantastic. If he's going to get sent off,
we did our job.
If he's going to get sent off because his head's on Pluto because we booed him, fantastic. If I would rather we boo him, he gets sent off and we win the game, then we don't boo him,
100.
we look classy, and then we lose the game. That's if you had to ask which one do you prefer, I'm taking the first option.
Yes,
simple.
100.
And we move, and we can
100%.
apologize after the game. Sorry for booing you. We had to do that.
Yeah,
my bad.
I'm probably not apologizing either.
So it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, cool. We're stuck with Poch next season. Top 4 and domestic trophy is a must. Yeah, I mean, listen, let's get this season done first. I don't think there's any guarantees on anyone staying or going. Let's see what happens. What a show! Very long show, but very much a great show. I think we needed that. I don't know what the next show is going to be like, so just cherish this, people. Watch the highlights, watch the United View reviews, Flex and KG arguing, watch Saeed's meltdown, watch Rance's meltdown, watch Coach Cam's. Make sure Coach Cam's has to answer for everything on FCM on Sunday. Just get them all now before it's too late, because we don't know how long we're going to be able to be moving in this shameless moment for. So, yeah, man. Miz, let the people know. Go on, Younes.
I just want to say those meltdowns were historic, absolutely historic. I mean, Saeed ripped his entire wall apart, bro. Like he doesn't want any affiliation with Man United anymore. Goldbridge lost his head.
Goldbridge lost his head. He lost his head. I've never seen him like that.
Bro, he's been advocating for Poch to stay, be given the chance, and yesterday he's like, he's shit. He's all rubbish. Like,
he slammed his chair. He slammed his chair against the screen, and he said, "I can't do this anymore."
Yeah.
I've never seen him like that. That's mad.
Incredible. And it could have been us. It really could have been us. Cole Palmer coming clutch. So I'm very happy. In that aspect, I'm very happy.
Yeah, I mean, finally, there's some. If there's any Chelsea fans that are trying to jump on this Matt Law thing and say, "Oh, Enzo, why is he getting in Mason Mount's face? He should focus on having a good game." I'm not even going to get into the narratives of if Gallagher does that with an opposition player, he cares, he fights for the badge. Enzo does it. You need to show your worth. Why are you doing this? Stop wasting everyone's time. I'm not even going to get into that double-sided nonsense. I'm not even going to get into those double standards, right? You want players to fight for the badge? He fought for the badge. End of conversation. Yeah. We won the game. We move, right? Make sure you smash up the lights, guys. Make sure you subscribe. What's the content saying? Younes and Miz, you got content coming out? You got another show tonight?
I might do something before I go to bed. Just a quick live stream, just talking about that whole Matt Law and Mason Mount and Enzo Fernandez. I might just touch base on that. And then just lead up to that Sheffield United game. Just talk about different topics off the back of this Man United game, and build up to that Sheffield United game, which is very, very soon. Is there a press conference today, by any chance?
I don't even know. I'm not ready for a press conference.
I think because I've already seen an injury update pre-Sheffield United on the Chelsea app. So I imagine that Poch has spoken to the media post-match yesterday.
So this match against Sheffield doesn't have a press conference, I guess.
I don't think there'll be a press conference. I'll be surprised because it would have meant to be today, but it's not been done today, so there isn't one. Because I think post-game yesterday, they must have done 2 sections. Post-match United, pre-match Sheffield United. All done yesterday, I think. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah, so no presser. But an injury update is already there, and apparently Chilwell is not looking good, so great.
Yeah, well, it's just normal.
Chilwell wasn't going to start anyway, so yeah.
Well, more bad news to come, guys, in the injuries front. Just enjoy it while it lasts.
I just don't want any new injuries, like
there will be fresh ones. Don't worry about that. There'll be fresh ones.
Yeah, if there's fresh ones, then wow.
Yeah, we always have fresh. We always have something fresh for you. Make sure you smash up the lights, guys. Subscribe to Miz. Subscribe to Younes. Links in the description as always. Subscribe to Baba. And we'll be back next week. Big up your damn selves and a bit, people. Peace. Come on. Long day.